Tell you what, David, Aaron Gordon looked 6'10" last night. They just bullied the Heat.
Well, it didn't help that Vincent Strus went 1 for 17.
Right. They couldn't hit the side of the barn. I hope that wasn't Bam's best game of the series.
It probably was.
Yeah. He'll tack on 15 from Haywood Highsmith. I mean, what the hell?
You can't have three shooters go 2 for 23. That's really what it boils down to. On a Saturday? Hell no. But I'll be up earlier tomorrow than I will be today.
10 seconds.
Going fishing. Car leaves the house at 3:30.
Damn.
Right.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. It's a Friday, the first one of June. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. I'd like to thank the Miami Heat for joining us this morning. I mean, they certainly weren't in Denver last night. They were. Nuggets are just better, at least for one night. But, Mark, that baby was over before quarter of 11. That's the best NBA Finals game in ages. That sucker moved.
Boy, are we old. If that's the thing we're mostly they lost, but it was over by quarter of 11. So, if they're going to lose, at least end this sucker early.
Listen, don't get me wrong. We are old. But we also do a morning sports show. I mean, that's all I'm saying. I mean, sometimes, listen, if you're going to have a 20-something point game going to the fourth quarter, can we move this sucker along? It's why do you think they've got 8 and 10 run rules in softball and baseball in college? I mean, come on, it's over, right? Well, then let's go. Let's go. And goodness knows they weren't calling any fouls, at least not on the Nuggets. So, there's no stoppages of the game. Heat weren't making enough shots to potentially, call a timeout after a made basket. So, next thing you know, you looked up. It's like that baseball game. Wait a minute. Top of the ninth. How long have we been here? 2 hours, 10 minutes. Huh. I'll be damned.
Terrible shooting performance from the Miami Heat last night. As simple as that. Strus, Robinson, and Martin go a combined 2 for 23 from the floor.
Clank.
Are you saying they're not going to win if those three guys shoot like that?
I don't think there's ever been an easier way to break a game down there's usually in these games, you got a bunch of different things to look at. Oh, they'll make these adjustments. No, it's three guys that shot 2 for 23 from the floor.
Clank.
And they weren't all contested either.
No.
Clank.
No. I have a feeling Felipe is going to be a human sound effect this morning.
And he's not wrong.
I mean, there were so many, Clank.
I tell you what, I think he adds more to the show when he just says clank.
He's getting ready for the clutch play of the day. Clutch and clank with a K.
But yeah. Clank.
Listen, Max Strus should take heart in knowing that the last guy that had as bad a shooting night as him is a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Last guy in the NBA Finals who went 0 for 10 or worse was Ray Allen, who went 0 for 13. So it's Ray Allen.
Shoot or shoot, David. Keep chucking it up there.
That's what Strus is saying. Hey, come on. I got a few more in me. I think Favre was asked one time, what'd you think when you threw your 5th interception? Well, put me back in there so I could try to throw 6. So he did set a record last night, though.
They did.
Even Bam joked about it afterwards. Well, we set a record tonight. Number of free throw attempts, 2. That's the fewest ever in a playoff game. Ever. Apparently, the Lakers in '83, when they lost to the Sixers, and the anniversary of that was yesterday, the sweep. Apparently, in one of the games of the series, Mark, the Lakers were 2 for 3 from the line. The Heat were 2 for 2 last night. Ties the record for fewest number of attempts in a playoff game and sets the record for the fewest number of makes.
Maybe when you're shooting 2 of 23 from the floor with 3 of your shooters, maybe it's a wild idea here. You might want to drive the ball to the basket.
Well,
at some point, you might want to take the ball to the rim and try to get to the free throw line.
Listen, the game ended so quickly. I actually watched some post game last night. I watched some press conferences. I even watched a little analysis. And Scott Van Pelt turned to Tim Legler and said, normally when a free throw disparity is 20-2, we say one team got zebraed. Legs goes, I know. And I chart every possession. And before I came out here, I went through it to see whether or not I thought the Heat were getting zebraed. He goes, there was not one time when I thought the Heat should have shot free throws that they didn't. He goes, now, I thought Jokic got away with a couple of offensive fouls just running over people on the way to the basket. He goes, that's it. That's the only, whistles that I had an argument with in the whole game. He goes, so no, they only earned 2 free throws.
Yeah, they didn't go to the hole. Butler didn't drive the way he normally does.
And when they did, they were throwing up garbage, just missing everything.
What did those shots sound like, Felipe?
Clank.
I don't know. I got more sleep than I expected. That sounds funny to me this morning. If it was a triple overtime hockey game, it might not sound funny to me. But, hell, I damn near got 6 hours sleep before this show. That's not something I'm expecting during the NBA and Stanley Cup Finals. How about you?
Not at all. Not at all. It's it's a 5's a bonus.
Yeah. And we don't mean sub-bonus.
All we talked about on the show yesterday is how the Heat need to win on the free throw line. And they went there twice in the whole game.
Right. Not the first quarter. The game. So I will say, Jokic is something. Man, the apology line. Oh my goodness. If somebody is a big Jokic fan, like, I don't know, somebody who works for Nuggets public relations and media, all of the comments, that coordinated effort in March to slam this guy so that, God forbid, he didn't win a 3rd straight MVP because he's not a worthy enough player to be on that short list. I love the fact he had a double-double at halftime. He had shot the ball 3 times. He was dominating the game going to the fourth quarter. I think he had shot the ball 5 times. I mean, if you didn't watch basketball in days gone by, that's how the game was played under John Wooden in the 70s and 60s. I mean, it really was. They threw it to the big guy, and Alcindor and Moulton directed traffic in the half court. You know, Dave Cowens, Wes Unseld. I mean, that's how bad. Bill Russell. That's how the game was played in the 60s and 70s. Give it to the big guy. He'll pass it around to whoever's open. And, you know, shot clock winding down, he'll go, all right, I guess I'll shoot.
I don't know if there's been a better big men passer since Walton, though. I mean, you're talking about legendary players from days gone by, and Walton was a tremendous passer. This guy's vision on the court's incredible.
He just averaged 10 assists a game in the season. 9.8, but basically 10.
Right.
I mean, he's averaging a triple-double.
And he's doing it in the playoffs, too. You know,
Right.
when teams have scouting reports and they're really honed in to slow him down. Lisa Salters is interviewing him afterwards and goes, well, the triple-double. And thankfully, he's a humble guy, because else he could have looked right at her and go, I do that every night, Lisa. Yeah, but you had 27, 10, and 14. Well, if you flip the 10 and the 14, that's pretty much my normal game. Right. So there you have it.
Quick 1-0 lead for the Nuggets. But I don't take this as, and I picked the Nuggets to win in 5. I'm not going to take that prediction away, but I look at it a little more positively. The Heat shot the ball so poorly that this might be a more simple fix.
Right. The fact that they only lost by 11 is staggering. When you shoot the ball that bad and you go to the line that little amount of times, to lose by 11 points, you have to have some sort of optimism.
But
a turnaround.
But you have to acknowledge it felt like a 20-point loss.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, they're down. What were they down? 21 going to the fourth?
Yeah.
Right. They went on an 11-0 run to start the fourth quarter to get it to 10.
And it was crushing because they'd cut it to 10. They cut it to 10 multiple times, and every single time Denver had an answer.
That's because they've got like 4 guys who can put the ball in the basket. That really helps. That really helps.
And no one could put the ball in the basket for the Miami Heat last night. Nobody.
Outside of Bam.
Right.
Outside of Bam. Well, Mark, come on now. I mean, Haywood Highsmith. Listen, you know it's going bad in the second half when it's kind of like, hey, could you get the ball to Haywood Highsmith for goodness sakes? Did he even play against Milwaukee? I don't even know if he played.
I don't think he played against the Knicks. He didn't play against Milwaukee. He didn't show up until
across
game 6 and
like
game 5 or 6 against Boston.
I know.
Between Knicks and Milwaukee, those two series, he might have gotten maybe like 7 minutes.
Yeah, maybe the blowout loss in game 2 in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, just plug in minutes.
So there you have it. You know, if you're into, I will say, if you're into atmosphere, you know, you could tell the noise jumped through the screen. The place was a jumping. The folks are fired up. First ever NBA Finals in Denver. You know, what famous fans and celebrities they have. You know, Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, Peyton Manning. You know, Ken Jeong, he was there. You know, it doesn't seem to be many other famous people who are Nuggets fans, but maybe by game 5, they can get their hands on tickets. They can be seen. I would advise Carmelo, if he wants his number retired in Denver, he should show up for one of these games.
At this rate, he's never getting that 15 retired.
A little PR. Well, he'll get it retired second. So there we go. All right. And we get the Stanley Cup Finals tomorrow. You remember hockey?
They're still playing, right?
They are.
Holy cow.
Yep. Tell you what, though, if you're a Panthers fan, you saw how the Nuggets played after their 9-day layoff. So you're going, well, there's no reason we can't play like that, right? Right, boys? I get my Canadian accent and expression down there. Was I okay? Let's
Pretty
go,
good.
boys. Let's go, boys.
Well
Time
done.
to lace them up.
Pitter patter. Let's get at her. Miller and Moulton. Great show lined up for you. We're going to talk college football in the 6 a.m. hour. Bill King is 25 minutes away right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
See, Ambien, I'm a believer. This is what happens. Avs last year, Nuggets this year, Dion at Colorado, Sean Payton of the Broncos. That's what I'm talking about. Adam, welcome back. How was Universal? You probably can't afford to sponsor our show now for the rest of the year, right? You've got to be dirt poor. Oh, RCB, I definitely thought, and we said so on this show, I definitely thought that the bias against Jokic was racial. Absolutely, I thought. To me, it was obvious. It was so blatant.
All right, let's get to an important discussion, though.
Okay.
Today's National Donut Day.
Yes, you're not going to believe this. My wife walks up to me right as I'm signing on. She goes, hey, I got something important. And I think I got your poll question. I go, what? She goes, today's National Donut Day. She wants us to do Dunkin' or Krispy Kreme.
Ooh, really?
Well, but she's into donuts, and she's
No.
getting...
I was trying. I mean, do you do glazed versus chocolate frosted versus Long John?
So you want to do individual donut,
Right?
Okay. So glazed versus frosted versus...
But I have no problem Krispy Kreme versus Dunkin'.
I think a warm glazed donut from Krispy Kreme is heaven on earth.
I think if Dunkin' wins, the whole poll question will be ended for the rest of my life. But that's just me.
No, I'm with you.
Well, there you go. Some people...
Because Dunkin' may win. It's more. There's more of them. The Boston factor, and their donuts suck compared to Krispy Kreme.
But also, we have to say to our voters, how many of you are voting because of the cheap coffee? I mean, because a lot of people go to Dunkin' because their coffee is 1/3 the price of Starbucks. And so they've gotten in the Dunkin' habit, and then while they're there, they buy 2 donuts.
I hate Dunkin's coffee. It's so bad.
But it's $2 versus $6. Yeah, but Arch, I've never heard of anybody going to Krispy Kreme for their coffee. If you know what I mean. People go to Krispy Kreme because they got the best donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts coffee also always wins. Always.
Yes. Ken Jong was at the game, Raiders. And Mark try to do Arch's expression in some sort of accent. Mark is right. That stuff is nasty. Mark, I will leave the poll question in your hands. Dunkin' versus Crispy, or it's National Donut Day. What's your favorite donut?
Yeah, your Boston cream, your glazed.
Do we go jelly? Do we go... I'm not a jelly donut guy, believe it or not.
You could go Boston cream, jelly, glazed. Is an apple fritter a donut?
Yeah, I don't think an apple fritter is a donut. I know donut
by the name, it's a fritter.
Right. I know donut places sell them, but that's just because they're delicious.
I will say the apple fritters at Trackside Donuts are just ridiculously good.
Yeah, it's a shame that's not a chain. That place, that'd be on the list.
Are you doing the starting 5 here?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we want to make it easier on ourselves.
Gotcha. Do it at 7:30.
Yeah, so exactly. Or 7, right. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I figured. I bumped it to the next hour.
Felipe, the name of the game is 12.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. I know we've urged you for a long time to sign up twitch.tv to the Miller and Moulton channel, because oftentimes the commercial breaks are pretty good. Sometimes, it's behind the curtain stuff involving the business and the show. Sometimes we just yell at each other because, you work with each other long enough, you get on each other's nerves. And then sometimes you have an amazing segment about today being what, Mark?
National Donut Day.
Huh? Think of the possibilities, the subject matter off of National Donut Day.
Free donuts to be had at both Krispy Kreme and Dunkin' today at select locations. You got to get there early, wait in a long line to get your one free donut.
Probably got to purchase something though, right?
Probably.
I'm guessing it's probably more BOGO. But by the way, can you not go in the morning when it'll be busy and just treat yourself late morning, early afternoon, just kind of slide in there when there's nobody in line. Yeah, who says you have to have your donuts at 7:30, 8 a.m.? What if you're a coffee person? Like, you can't have a coffee and donut at 11? 2? What's wrong with that? Treat yourself. That's all I'm saying. So listen, there's 37 poll options here. Pick one or two.
I know. You could simply just go with the two big boys and put them head to head, Krispy Kreme and Dunkin'.
Ooh, man. And for the record, Mark, if Dunkin' wins...
I'm done with poll questions.
He laid that one on us during the commercial break. And there's a part of me, because I know Mark is very hot and cold about poll questions. So I think deep down there's a part of him that would love for Dunkin' to win, because then he wouldn't have to do this anymore. And he could keep saying, we're not having a poll question because our listeners chose Dunkin' over Krispy Kreme. So
I
I'm done
think
with
they
them.
would. I think it's a more popular place.
I think it's more popular because there's more of them. I also think people go to Dunkin' for more than one reason. There are people in my life that I know that go to Dunkin' because they really love Starbucks, but the coffee's too damn expensive to buy every day. So they'll do Starbucks like once a week, but then they'll go to Dunkin' 3-4 times a week because, well, you could buy 3 Dunkin' coffees for a Starbucks coffee. I've never heard of anybody going to Krispy Kreme for any reason other than a donut. I could be wrong.
It's like you guys said, there's not a lot of Krispy Kremes. Therefore, there's not a lot of people that have been to a Krispy Kreme compared to Dunkin' Donuts. And another important thing is that Krispy Kreme does sell donuts at Publix. You can't have those. You need to have a real Krispy Kreme donut in order to understand.
I know, but there are times in which you'll just take the substitute because it's better than nothing.
I don't know about that. I know what you're saying. I understand it. And you're deep down, I know you're right, but I can walk past, I don't need that donut. But I go past a Krispy Kreme and the light's on that the donuts are hot. I might just turn in to get one just because.
What about the convenience store that gets their donuts from one or the other? Because they do. The little advertisements on the display. The national chains that get their donuts from one or the other.
Not as good.
It's not, but it's better than nothing. I would argue better than nothing.
I'd go nothing more times than I'd get a donut, though.
Wow. I have a hard time walking past a donut. They all talk to me.
Everyone?
Yeah, I'm an only child, except when I walk past a donut case. Then I feel like I'm from a big family. I hear all the voices. It's like a reunion.
So if we went big 3 donuts, it would be glazed, Boston cream, and a jelly donut, right?
Oh, wow. That's.
I mean, unless you're a little kid, and then it's a chocolate frosted with sprinkles.
I mean, do the minis count? Like, the box of, I don't know, 40, 50, whatever they put in there. But they're all glazed. The holes are all glazed, though, aren't they?
Donut holes.
Right.
Notice how we went. I just want everybody to just take a step back here and listen to what was just said. I named 3 individual donuts, and David goes, what about the ones where you get 40 or 50 in a bag?
I'm into volume. What can I tell you?
No blank.
Listen, you've been with me. We've been on the road doing shows and what have you, and we'll go into a place, and it's why I usually like to let Mark order first so that he can walk away from me. When I look at the person behind the counter and go, or we're sitting in the booth, getting at the table, getting served, and I look at the waitress and I go, of these entrees here, which one has the most food? Mark's like, my time to get up and go to the bathroom. I'll go to the bar and get us a drink.
That's why you order meatloaf a lot.
Yes.
It's a volume meal.
Yes. I make no bones. And she, the waitress will look at me and I'll go, listen, I look this way for a reason. But the most calories usually means the most amount of food. If it was your last meal on earth, which one of these would you order? So
we'll get a poll question up. I don't know if it's individual donuts or donut chains. Might do them both. We might just be crazy today and have 2.
Well, it's up to Felipe. I mean, heck, he has shows in which, he posts 4 poll questions before we get to the starting 5. I mean, he's the one who showed up doing sound effects today. Felipe, how'd the Miami Heat play last night?
Clank.
At what point did you start yelling at Struce to not shoot anymore? Did that ever happen? Because when you go 0 for 10, there's got to be a point in which you, as the Heat fan, was just like, pass the ball.
It wasn't even that. It was like, just get him out of the game. Put in Duncan Robinson.
Oh, he wasn't any better. He was 1 for 6.
I know, but he made one.
Here's the problem with Duncan Robinson, Felipe. he can't guard you.
Anyone.
No.
I mean, he
And-
is so bad defensively,
Yes.
and Spo knows it. And regular season, you can get away with that. Everybody's playing at about 70%. They're not going to start playing hard till mid-fourth, whatever. But in the playoffs, I mean, who the heck is he going to guard?
And
Honestly.
I feel so bad because he gets called for these ticky-tack fouls, and he's just so frustrated out there defensively.
You know why? It's the ref's way of letting Spo know, get him off the damn floor, will you? He can't guard anybody. And if you won't do it, we'll do it for you.
He fouls a lot.
He doesn't have much of a choice.
Right, exactly.
Keep him in front of you or grab him. Whatever you
Right.
got to do, Duncan.
Exactly. Kind of feel like I did when I tried to play. Moulton, move your feet. I am, coach. I am. Oh, sorry. You're just slow.
And I do love Duncan Robinson for this reason, is that particularly after a make, he has the Duke basketball defense face. He can't play defense, but he gives the let's get a stop yell, and like he's ready to bang his hands on the ground, and he can't guard a soul.
Right. I'm in the stance, coach. I'm ready. Wait, where's Duncan Robinson? Oh, he's guarding him. Give him the ball. Everybody clear out. Heck, I might put him.
Strus ain't that much better on defense, by the way. Just
Yeah,
he gets
he's a little
hooked.
bit. You know what? I might put Duncan on Jokic just because he's looking to pass so much. It might be the only way Duncan can guard somebody. Put him on the guy who likes to pass the most. Listen, we have a treat coming up. We're going to switch gears. We're going to talk college football. The SEC coaches chickened out yesterday. Bark, 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 bark. I hope this conference gets all the grief it deserves. Of course, it won't, but
And the odds are they'll win the national title again.
get 19 teams playing in the 12-team playoff. But Bill King, Dean of Southern College Football, is next.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And being tough to get rid of Duncan Robinson. They gave him that, $85 million over 4 or 5 years. That's a tough contract to trade.
I left him a voicemail, but I'm gonna call him back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Keith Smith, NBA Finals, Orlando Alzugaray, Heat, and Panthers, both of them joining us in our 8 o'clock hour on this Friday. Going to have a nice rotation now, Mark, especially once we get to next week. You know, basketball one night, hockey the next, hoops, hockey. Get a nice week and a half of that. It's a nice rhythm. As a sports fan, it's nice to have a rhythm. If by chance you have a day off from both, nothing wrong with a little baseball. Rays are in first. Marlins are contending for a wild card. These are crazy times.
You know, it all started when Brady moved to Florida.
I know. The Lightning were so inspired, they won a cup. And then, just took it from there.
But the Heat suffering a game 1 loss last night, shooting horrifically.
Yeah, they shot and played decently in the fourth quarter. It made everything look a lot better than it really was. You look for the game and they shot 41% and you go, well, it's not good, but it's not awful. Yeah, and they played well in the fourth quarter. So imagine how awful it was. Well, they only lost by 11. Yeah, they were down 21 at the start of the fourth. Never got it closer than 9. Yeah, it was not good. So 20 minutes before the hour, what do you say we do this? Time for?
Yeah.
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
We threw a curveball at Felipe. We were going to do this next hour. Our guest fell through. All right. He's trying to book the guest. He's trying to find the sound effects. Okay. He kind of feels like Max Strus shooting the ball last night. Sorry to do that. Sorry to do that to you, Felipe.
Clank.
Speaking of clank, Heat shot 41%. Trailed by 9 after 1, 17 at the half, 21 after 3. So the whole 104-93 loss was actually worse than it really was. This just in, Jokic was pretty good. And by pretty good, I mean he scored 27 points on 12 shots. Oh, yeah, had 10 rebounds, 14 assists. Had a double-double at halftime. He had shot the ball 3 times. Jamal Murray, 26 points, 10 assists. Michael Porter, 14 points, 13 rebounds. Aaron Gordon in the first quarter made me look good, huh? Said he was going to be the key for the Nuggets. He was hot early. Did a good job on Jimmy Buckets. Gordon with 16. Meanwhile, Max Strus was 0 for 10, including 0 for 9 from 3. Felipe, how did his night go again?
Clank.
Bam Adebayo had arguably the best ever playoff game of his life, 26 points, 13 rebounds. Gabe Vincent, 19. Haywood Highsmith, 18. Jimmy did not seem aggressive last night.
No. He said so after the game. I've got to go to the rim more. Yes, Jimmy, you have to go to the rim more. You have to get to the foul line more.
So Caleb Martin was 1 for 7, and Duncan Robinson was 1 for 6. You combine that with Strus is 0 for 10. That's 2 for 23. The Heat shot 2 free throws on the night. That's a record. Fewest number of attempts and made free throws in a NBA playoff game ever. Nuggets, meanwhile, went 16 of 20. So there's a 14-point differential for the line. Game 2, Sunday night in Denver. Nuggets are 9-0 at home. Just saying. A couple other NBA notes. Celtics are keeping Joe Mazzulla. I mean, his whole staff left him. Udoka hired everybody who was left the day before. So Brad Stevens stayed with Mazzulla, and now Joe's going to put a staff together of his guys, you know. And Commissioner Silver was interviewed before the game and was asked about Ja Morant. And he said, oh, man, we've uncovered a lot more stuff on Ja. But I'm going to keep it to myself until after the finals. You figure he's going to want to bury this right before the draft, right? I mean, in between the finals and the draft, he's going to bury this maybe day before the draft. He releases it, so it's got like a 12-hour shelf life.
That sounds pretty accurate because he's, you know, like he mentioned in talking, he's already suspended by Memphis, so there's nothing he has to do right now anyhow.
So, be interesting to see how many games he gives them. I think there's a chance he gets 40. And I think there's a very good chance of appeal. Hockey, Game 1, Stanley Cup Finals tomorrow night in Vegas. Panthers and Golden Knights, 8 o'clock, TNT. A reminder, the Panthers have won 8 straight on the road. On the road! 2 in Carolina, 3 in Toronto, the last 3 of the series in Boston. 8 in a row on the road. Unbelievable. Major League Baseball. Padres with 7 in the 6th. Marlins were getting no hit into the 6th by Joe Musgrave. 10-1 San Diego over Miami. Mets have won 8 in a row at home. They swept the Phillies 4-2. The Diamondbacks are tied with the Dodgers for first in the NL West. They've won 5 in a row. They rallied to beat the Rockies 5-4. By the way, Colorado, worst record in the National League at 10 games below 500. There's 3 or 4 American League teams who have a worse record in Colorado. Toronto with 3 in the first, held off Milwaukee 3-1. Brewers leads down to a half a game over the Pirates. Good news, bad news for the Red Sox. Good news, they scored 6 in the 8th to beat Cincy 8-2. Bad news, Chris Sale with 2 outs in the 4th left his start with a sore left pitching shoulder. That's not good. And he had been pitching really well for the last 5 weeks.
That's upsetting.
Yeah. Yep. Twins rallied 3 in the 8th, 1 in the 9th. They beat Cleveland 7-6. If you're not taking the Tigers seriously, then, well, a 4.5 game lead on the Guardians is a nice little number to have in early June. Royce Lewis, who was supposed to be the next Jeter, literally, and then he got hurt throughout the minor leagues, including not 1 but 2 torn ACLs. He had only played 12 games in the majors before this week. He's hit 3 homers this week, including a 2-run shot to tie it in the 8th last night. One other baseball game, Astros 5, Angels 2. Dusty Baker, win number 2,126, moves him to 8th all-time. Yankees, who, by the way, had the most wins in May of any team in baseball. And the Yankees and Dodgers are playing a series this weekend. Got to admit, that's kind of cool.
It is. And what, Stanton could come back, Donaldson could come back. I mean, they're
all back. They made the moves late yesterday. They're officially on the roster for the series later today. Giancarlo Stanton, Josh Donaldson, and pitcher Tommy Conley. One other hockey note, I mentioned the Stanley Cup Finals, a couple of them actually. Patrick Kane, he didn't have hip replacement surgery. When they don't want to replace your hip, they call it a resurfacing. Hope it takes. Otherwise, his career is going to end soon. Hip surgery out 4 to 6 months. The New Leafs GM said, Mark, that signing Austin Matthews, who has 1 year left on his contract, is his number 1 priority. He is probably going to set the new record as to how much per year and how much in length of contract. And the Penguins hired former Leafs GM Kyle Dubas as their president and interim GM. He has said, by the way, nobody's going anywhere. Mike Sullivan, Crosby, Malkin, Letang, nobody's going anywhere. That's how he got the job. College football news, the SEC is only going to play 8 conference games next year with just one permanent opponent. Then they're going to revisit it next year and see what they're doing for 2025.
After they hear their fan bases go nuts when they're not playing all their rivals.
Well, Greg Sankey gave a tip yesterday. They're going to release their schedule for next year in 2 weeks. And Sankey all but said, we're going to try desperately to keep all the great rivalries intact in 2024 until we can get this settled once and for all. See, I think he's taken the wrong approach. I think he should have made sure Texas and A&M, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, Tennessee, that none of them played each other. Okay, you want to get the vote? Rig the election. Anyway. Golf, the Memorial, Davis Riley is a one-shot lead at 5 under. Matt Wallace at 4 under. Spieth in a group at 3 under. Rahm at 2 under. Scheffler 2 over. JT 3 over. Rory even. LPGA, they're in Jersey. They're at that Liberty National where the PGA Tour has been many a times. As you can see off in the harbor, the Statue of Liberty. It's a very pretty course. Lauren Hartledge, an American, is the lead at 7 under. But remember I told you about Rose Zhang, who had won back-to-back NCAA championships, is probably the hottest amateur golfer this country has produced, maybe since Michelle Wie. She's T12 after her first professional round at 2 under. College softball, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida State winners in the first day of the World Series. A lot of bad weather in Oklahoma City. They couldn't get in the 4th game, Utah and Washington. So Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida State, all in the winners bracket. French Open, Madison Keys upset. Also, 16th seed on the men's side, Tommy Paul, the American, lost in 4 sets. Okay, Coco Gauff, Taylor Fritz, Francis Tiafoe are Americans who won. And finally, Mark, and these suspensions have happened during the week, but getting you ready for NASCAR this weekend in St. Louis. Chase Elliott, remember, is going to be suspended for the race because he intentionally wrecked Denny Hamlin. And I mean, that's not an opinion. I mean, even NASCAR said, oh, yeah, he wrecked him. So they suspended him for the race. And Mark, Chase Briscoe's team was caught cheating. And there's no ambiguity either. See, they had a, quote, counterfeit part, unquote, on his car. This is some bad luck, Mark. They picked 2 cars at the end of the race to inspect the second time. 2 out of nearly 40. 2. And you're cheating and they pick your car. That's a bad break right there. Anyway, his crew chief suspended 6 races. He got docked 120 points, which means he's got no chance of qualifying for the playoffs unless he wins a race. It's the most they can penalize a guy. So you got one guy intentionally wrecking a guy, and you got another team that's potentially cheating. What the hell's this? It's a counterfeit part. Can't do that. It's like counterfeit money. 9 minutes before the hour, that was.
That was the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So did you see this stat for next year? Okay. No, it's this year, actually. I'm sorry. This college football stat for this year. Teams in conferences playing at least 10 Power 5 opponents. 13 of the 14 Big Ten teams are playing at least 10.
Okay.
11 of the 14 Big 12 teams.
Okay.
10 of the 12 Pac-12 teams.
Mm-hmm.
10 of the 15 ACC teams.
Right. Okay.
Of the
now the one we're waiting for.
Right. Of the 14 SEC schools, how many of them are playing 10 or more Power 5 teams.
5.
Lower.
3.
Lower.
2.
Florida and South Carolina. That's it. That's it. That's right. The conference with the best talent is playing the easiest schedule.
And they would prefer to continue it that way based on the 8-game schedule that they passed yesterday. And why would you blame them?
So just keep it in mind, because they get every tiebreaker for what they've done over the last 16, 17 years. But maybe, just maybe, one time, should the committee go, we can't keep rewarding you when you're going above and beyond to play as easy a schedule as possible. Sorry. Tie goes to the runner, and you're no longer the runner.
Miller and Moulton. Little college football schedule breakdown. We'll talk more Heat coming up and get ready for game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, all on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The SEC, however, in the college football playoff, David, is 14-3.
Alabama's lost all 3.
The ACC is 6-5. The Big Ten is 3-7. The Big 12 is 1-5. The Pac-12 is 1-2. Notre Dame is 0-2, and the AC is 0-1.
That's in the 9 years that we've done this, right? 2014 through last year, because that's when the 14 playoffs started.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We go college football here.
Yeah.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday, the first Friday in June. Game 1 of the NBA Finals went to the Nuggets rather easily, easier than the final of 104-93. Jokic, Murray, Porter, Gordon, they were all terrific. Denver's 9-0 at home. Game 2 Sunday night in Denver. See if Miami can get the all-important split before they come back home for 2 games next week. Stanley Cup Finals get underway tomorrow night in Vegas. Panthers haven't played in a week and a half by the time they get to the ice, but didn't hurt the Nuggets last night. Hopefully it won't hurt the Panthers tomorrow night. Panthers an underdog in the series. Slight, but they're an underdog. Vegas was much like the Nuggets. Vegas, the number 1 team in the Western Conference points-wise, and the Panthers, like the Heat, entered the playoffs as an 8th seed. Last team in, so to speak, in the East. They've been giant killers. Let's see if it continues. Miami hadn't lost a game 1 on the road yet this year till last night. Panthers have won 8 straight on the road heading into game 1 tomorrow night. But we'll get to the hoops and the hockey in more detail later on. Can I go back and revisit this college football thing?
Absolutely.
Listen, we all know the SEC is the best. Okay. I mean, even me, who's angry right now at the SEC, I feel like Richard Gere in Pretty Woman. I'm angry with my father. 10 years of therapy later, I'm still angry. That's how I feel. I'm in the bathtub with Julia Roberts. I am angry at the SEC. A sponge bath might help, though.
Especially from Julia Roberts.
Right. And she wraps those long legs around me. 36 inches of therapy there, as she said. So I'm angry, but I have a dilemma. And I want you and all of you tell me who goes. Georgia loses 1 game this year. They lose at Tennessee. And because of it, they don't go to Atlanta.
Okay.
Tennessee ends up representing the East. Remember, we've got divisions this year. This is the last year of divisions in the SEC and the Big Ten, right?
Yes.
So this is the last year of divisions in the 2 major conferences. So let's just say, because by the way, that's what happened last year. LSU lost a bunch of games. They only lost 1 SEC game. So when they beat Alabama, they had the tiebreaker. And that's why LSU went. Even though Bama had a better record, was ranked better, the whole deal. LSU had the tiebreaker. Same thing could happen. Mark, Georgia's 11-1, and you figure they're going to be undefeated number 1 in the country when they play Tennessee. Say they lose a tough game, they ain't going to fall very far. I mean, probably still be in the top 5, right?
You would think.
Okay. Now, let's talk Florida State. Florida State is playing a true toss-up game. Spreads like 1.5, 2 in Orlando to open the season against LSU. Let's just say they lose it. Remember, that game, it was a blocked extra point last year, decided that game. Let's just say Florida State loses this time. Close one. Then 3 weeks later, they go to Clemson. 2 best teams in the ACC. Play a good game. Clemson walks out of there 31-28. Florida State's going to be favored in every game they play the rest of the year. They run the table. They get a rematch with Clemson. They win it. They're 11-2. Georgia's 11-1. They're not even in the SEC championship game. Florida State's 11-2. They're ACC champion. Who makes the playoff?
Georgia will make it, and they shouldn't. And here's why. I mean, it's first in the loss column, but that little line, David, that they have in their conference championship, if deemed to be, the wording, but they set it up basically that if it's a conference champ and there's a big gap, we take the conference champ. But if they can't determine that the conference champ's that much better, then they go back to their old ways.
But remember, we go back to 2016. Penn State, with 2 losses, won the Big Ten. Ohio State went 11-1, didn't make the Big Ten title game. Why? The 1 loss was at Penn State, so Penn State won the tiebreaker. Penn State was the 11-2 Big Ten champion. Who went to the playoff? 11-1 Ohio State. And, of course, the reason I bring this up is Florida State's going to play, in the scenario that I brought up, 11 games against Power 5 schools. 8 ACC, LSU, Florida, and then the rematch with Clemson. Whereas Georgia will play only 9 Power 5 games. And listen, Georgia will have caught a couple of bad breaks. They had Oklahoma on the schedule. But then when Oklahoma and Texas joined the conference, they couldn't get the home and home done before they joined the conference. So they canceled the home and home. So Georgia ended up replacing them with Ball State. It's a bad look. And their rival, their non-conference rival, Georgia Tech, is lousy. Their over-under's 4. So Georgia is going to catch a couple of bad breaks this year. Not all of their doing. You know, I mean, they want to play Georgia Tech every year. It's up to Georgia Tech to be good. But
and that hasn't happened for a couple of decades, it seems.
Right. A couple of Paul Johnson teams, that's about it. So think about that scenario. By the way, that scenario is not crazy. I mean, it's not. Georgia's going to be favored in every game they play. Their over-under is 11.5. And would it really surprise you if Florida State went when Florida State's done with Clemson week 4, they're favored in every game they play the rest of the year with a top 5 quarterback in the country. I mean, I don't think these scenarios are outlandish that we've laid out here.
They're not outlandish. And you asked me because I don't think they could determine that Florida State was better to the point that Georgia wouldn't go with the better record.
How is it a better record?
The one loss. They
didn't play anybody.
David, I've just told you, I'd take Florida State. You're asking me what the committee's going to do. The committee's never taken a 2-loss team. They don't take 2-loss teams. And unless they can determine that Florida State as a conference champ is better in no scenario that Georgia's even close to Florida State, that there's a canyon between the two. Well, there's not.
Listen, you're probably right, but I'm just trying to, and see, to me, if you're the other conferences, you got to start this now. This needs to be a narrative now. This is a sport based on public opinion. No need to be nice here. No need to be professional, gentlemanly. No, this is big boy college football. No. If you're the commissioner of the ACC, if you're Tony Petitti and you're the commissioner of the Big Ten, you need to say, listen, Georgia with that schedule, if they don't win the SEC, they shouldn't make the playoffs. You should just say it. Flat say it. Let people get all up in arms about it. Good. They're talking about it. Say it. Say it out loud. Now, it's not all Georgia's fault. Okay? And by the way, don't tell me whether the 2-time defending champion. Yeah, 25 of those guys have been drafted. It's not the same team. This isn't 05 USC after winning it in 03 and 04. Okay? It's not. Leinart and Bush and company didn't come back. Also, if you think about it, Mark, I mean, Georgia would be the second team from the SEC. That means the SEC would have half the playoff. Remember, this is the final year of 4. That's another thing. You start pounding the table now. Schedules need to matter. Okay? Enough with the kowtowing to the SEC. Even though, and Mark brought out a stat during the commercial break, if you're watching us on Twitch, I mean, yeah, you honk the SEC off. They got some pretty good numbers on their side.
In fact, here it is. The SEC in the college football playoff, 14-3 versus the field. 3 different schools win the past 4 titles. The ACC is 6-5 in the college football playoff. The Big Ten, 3-7. The Big 12, 1-5. The Pac-12, 1-2. Notre Dame, 0-2. And the AC, 0-1.
Hey, at least they got in.
That's right.
But so, yeah, that's what the SEC comes back with when they go, we got the best players, we got the best teams. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. And the other conferences come back with, well, if you have the best players and have the best teams, then be man enough to step up and play people. It makes no sense that we're playing harder schedules than you. It should be the other way around. And by the way, call them out and go, look at college basketball. Is Kansas and Kentucky out there ducking people? No. Michigan State out there ducking people? No. They're playing everybody they can find. You know why? Because they're Kansas, Kentucky, and Michigan State.
Well,
that's
the difference is that committee actually looks at strength of schedule, and it matters.
There you go. And that's why you bring it up, because who are you taking on here? You're taking on the establishment. It's like, hey, listen, from now on, strength of schedule matters. We start talking about this now. I'm not letting the SEC have a quiet summer. Hell no. If I'm the ACC, come on, start looking at this now. If you think Clemson and Florida State are going to face each other twice this year, if you think they're the two best teams and they're going to play in the regular season at Clemson in September, and then they're going to play 10 weeks later in Charlotte, well, you start lobbying now. I mean, what are the odds that one of those teams goes 2-0 against the other? You got to start lobbying now. You got to make sure your champ's in. Dabo's got no trouble lobbying. No trouble at all. Dabo will take on the SEC. If you're Jim Phillips there, the ACC, you call up Dabo. Dabo, I need you to go public. Yeah, what day? Wednesdays. Every Wednesday for the summer. Great, fine, that'll be good. I can do that. I'll put it on my schedule.
And every time that you're talking to one of the coaches, those coaches need to bring up strength of schedule.
Every time.
Every time.
You're a Big Ten coach, commissioner. We play 9 conference games. They
Your
play
social
8.
media people need to be belting this out on a regular basis.
By the way, start playing the chicken sound. Yeah, start doing a presser. Bring a chicken. Bring a rubber chicken to the press conference. You guys want to talk? I just want the SEC to be represented here today at this press conference. Hold the rubber chicken up.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
In theory, RCB would be 12-1, but I know what you're getting at. I don't know how RCB, if in your scenario, say Florida State goes 12-0 and then loses to Clemson in the ACC title game, I don't know how Florida State doesn't go. They will have beaten Clemson, and they will have beaten 2 SEC teams, none of them at home, in posting the 12-0. I mean, I think it would be very difficult to make the argument that Clemson should go over Florida State. If Florida State goes 12-0 and then loses the ACC title game to Clemson. Well, DC, it's the last year of 4, so. No, RCB, that would be the scenario to potentially get 2. I think the more realistic scenario, though, is have Clemson go 12-0 and Florida State 11-1, and then have Florida State win the rematch. Particularly if LSU can get to Atlanta. This could be a wild year, by the way. I mean, if the preseason polls are accurate, I mean, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State are all going to be in the top 7.
Only the SEC can get 2 teams into the playoff.
Big Ten got it last year.
Yeah, they won't do that again.
Yeah, Captain, it's college football, man. It's based on opinion. Anything can happen. This ain't the NFL playoffs where it's we all know what the tiebreakers are.
No, it's college football where the tiebreakers change by the day or by the hour occasionally.
Right, exactly. Tiebreaker could change based on what Paul Feinbaum says in the 4 o'clock hour. We are pretty quirky, aren't we, as a country and as sports fans, that we allow a major sport in this country. Some people would argue the number 2 sport to be determined the way that we do. I mean, it is pretty messed up when you think about it. It was kind of like all those years you had one league have the DH and the other league didn't.
Still better that the umpires wore different uniforms.
And because of it, you had the high strike and the low strike. Apparently, because the big chest, thing that the AL umpires would hold, they couldn't bend down as far. That's why the low strike went to the National League. The chest protector inside the shirt. Those umpires could bend lower. That's why the National League, you got the low strike, and the American League, you got the high.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this first Friday of June. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Keith Smith, Orlando Alzugaray to join us next hour. We'll talk Heat and Panthers in their respective finals. Miami lost game 1 in Denver last night, 104-93. Nuggets were dominant. A little shaky in the fourth quarter. Looked like they took their foot off their gas a little bit. Heat were down 21 going to the fourth. Started the fourth with an 11-0 run, but never got any closer than 9. And that was late. So game 2 Sunday night in Denver. Probably the series, right? I mean, we all know the math. Can Miami come back? Sure, they could. Their first title in 2006, they were down 2-0 to Dallas and came back. But that was 2-3-2 format. We don't do that anymore. It's 2-2-1-1-1.
Probably, but they could still get it done, winning both their home games. Take this 2-2 that way.
So you're not ready to say this Sunday's the series?
I'm not ready to say it.
Okay. I am.
I will say that Denver, because they played so poorly in the fourth quarter, actually has something to give their team grief about. It wasn't just this easy win where they can say, oh, this is going to, they're actually, even in the post game, hollered, hey, we can't let up. We got to play 48 minutes. Look what happens when we take our foot off the gas.
Plus, I think they shot less than 30% from beyond the arc. So they're like, listen, we didn't play our best game. I mean, we only scored 104 points. One thing I would say, Mark, going forward, if you said to Spo the rest of the series, Denver's going to score 104 points a night, would you take it, yes or no?
Spo would sign up for that in a nanosecond.
Right.
I used the number 110 yesterday when we were discussing. I thought Miami's got to get to about 110 to win games against the Nuggets. And if they can keep them at 104, shooting as badly as they did, I mean, you can spin this the other way. Miami played an awful game. Jimmy Butler was not good. Didn't drive with any oomph. Didn't go to the hole. Didn't get to the free throw line. They took 2 free throws. They shot the ball horrifically. Strus is 0 of 10. I mean, there are plenty of ways to spin this from the Miami side to say that this series is far from over.
I will say Spoelstra was so cool, calm, and collected afterwards. Not only that, I mean, I don't know if he had showered or not, but he didn't have, a hair out of place. He didn't have a bead of sweat on him. They're throwing questions out at him. He's like, yeah, some days the shots go in, some days they don't. We'll be fine. I would like us to play with the second half intensity for 48 minutes. I thought Denver was a little more into it early, but he goes, otherwise, 2 good teams trading punches. We'll see how it goes Sunday. I mean, I thought it was the A-Sun tournament. I mean, apparently we're getting ready. We lost a key regular season game. We fell to the 3 seed, I don't know. I think we'll be all right. Got a veteran team, been here before. I like our chances. He's got this down, man.
100%.
He's kind of like, listen, this is mountain time. I'm looking at my watch. It's barely 9 o'clock. Okay. If we can cut this short, we can get out of here back to the hotel. I mean, and plus we got Friday and Saturday off. I don't need to watch film tonight. I could get a nice bottle of wine. Okay. Get a nice meal. Maybe a little chicken parm action.
When did he become a hockey player?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think. What do you order if you get back to the hotel at 10 o'clock? Restaurant's still open. You got a chance to, I mean, Mickey Arison and Pat Riley's picking up the tab. I mean, there's no sense just ordering, the shrimp roll or anything.
I just like that you went chicken parm. I think he's probably getting the New York strip. I mean,
probably is. You know me. I was thinking carbs. I'm thinking, I got to fill myself up for bed. Want some pasta.
Right. I mean, let's get something really heavy right before I go to sleep.
Exactly. He's probably thinking, something light, maybe a salad.
Have a salad.
Right. I know. It's why he looks the way he does. It's why I look the way I do. I'm thinking, man, something heavy at about 10:30, 11 o'clock would be fantastic.
You know what's bad? As I've fallen asleep on the couch and wake up, and instead of going to bed, I go to the refrigerator to grab a snack.
Yes! That's what I'm talking about. That's how you attack life right there. Today's National Donut Day. You can order a donut any time of the day. Doesn't just have to be on your way to work or school. All right? You can go, right before lunch? How about after lunch? Treat yourself to a dessert.
Speaking of which, we've got 2 poll questions up in celebration of National Donut Day. What's the best kind of donut? Glazed, Boston cream, jelly, or other? Glazed running away with it with over half the vote right now.
Yes.
And who has better donuts, Krispy Kreme or Dunkin'? And early voting, Krispy Kreme with 93% of the vote.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Early precincts. We banked those votes, baby.
So go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FL Sports Network to vote, floridasportsnetwork.com as well. Felipe, time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Not much clutch by the Heat.
No, not quite.
But maybe it's the other side?
But some clutch from the baseball diamond, not from the Marlins. They actually lost last night. But out west we go. The Diamondbacks have been on fire, and Corbin Carroll was the hero for them last night as they sweep the Rockies.
Corbin Carroll, base hit. Here comes Marte. Diamondbacks sweep all four from Colorado. It went down to the final hitter, and they finally got the big hit.
I mean, on a roll, the Diamondbacks are. They are tied for first in the NL West with the Dodgers. We're in June. Pretty good start for the D-backs.
Just imagine if the season was split in half and we only had 20-something games left.
Oh, here we go.
Wait a minute. Am I getting it from Felipe now, too? I don't even have the young, Buck on my side, the guy who, his generation open to this stuff.
And not only that, but the guy who roots for a team who could use a format like that.
Right.
You don't have me, no.
You really don't have anybody with this.
I know.
You are on an island with this.
I mean, with all these rule changes, that's the one that'll really lose the baseball audience.
Oh,
and I mean, people age
It'll
50
really
up.
lose them. Yeah. You watch a game every day for 3 months. Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here?
What do you mean, what are we doing? We're splitting the season in half.
No.
Yeah. The season's as long as an NBA and an NHL regular season, and now we're split it in half. We do another one. That's all. Just think of that, how great the races would be right now. Think about how big the Twins-Guardians game would have been last night if the season was split in half.
I don't legitimize the Marlins 2020 playoff run because it was a 52-game regular season. That's not even half of an MLB regular season.
Wow.
No, that wasn't a playoff run. They made the playoffs as a 500 record. That doesn't happen.
There were a few games above 500. It was a 60-game season. They won a playoff series, best of 3 against the Cubs. No? No.
No.
So you wouldn't hang the banner is what you're saying. You worked for the organization. You would not have it out there. Playoffs 2020.
Well, no. For the record, no. I would be in pennants and World Series. Those are the banners you hang. And that's it.
Could I lobby you for 2020 with an asterisk? Okay.
Did they win the pennant?
Made the playoffs.
Did they win the pennant?
Well, no.
Well, then we're not hanging a banner.
Okay. Tell you what, then you ain't going to be hanging one for a long time.
Miller and Moulton. Hanging banners, talking donuts, and a little NBA Finals all mixed in as well. Thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The hell is a duck donut?
It's a chain. Really, really good donuts. They make them fresh. But it's again, there's one in, I think there's still one in Fort Myers. I know there's one in Naples. The one in Estero went out of business. I don't think an apple fritter counts as a donut, Mr. Traffic. Someone asked that earlier. It's a delicious treat. It's just not a donut.
Yeah, Trackside's not national, though, sweet meat. I mean, plus we do our show outside of Southwest Florida, so. But they are outstanding.
I should make my wife go get me some.
Where's the closest Tim Hortons? They're not in Florida, are they? I mean, they're in the north, aren't they? Like, I didn't know anything about Tim Hortons growing up. I don't think I've ever lived in a city.
When you were growing up, they were just in Canada.
Right. I mean, I don't think I've ever lived in a city that while I was living there had a Tim Hortons, including Fargo in the 90s. Thank you, mister.
"45 seconds, really quick. Mark and David, can I get a clip of you guys just saying we're on Instagram now? I don't know. Just like, we're on Instagram now. I don't know.
Hey, David, guess what?
What?
We're on Instagram now.
Holy mackerel.
Perfect. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. First Friday of June. How's your week gone? Probably a shorter week. So I'm guessing feeling pretty good about it. Got plans for the weekend. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. And this is it in Florida, right? No matter where you are, the school's over now, right? It's the last day of school's already happened, or it's today in some counties, but I mean, it's over, isn't it?
No,
No?
not for my daughter. She's got to go back Monday and Tuesday.
What? Is it because of the hurricane?
No,
No?
that's
Man.
when that was the wildest thing because we missed all that time from Hurricane Ian.
Right.
And they made up 2 days. They missed like 2 weeks and made up like 2 days. They had plenty of things to figure out and to do, and
Right.
I didn't need them going through the month of June, but
Right.
it makes you wonder, if nothing else. Like, we're good with that.
And they said, listen, we're worried about power. Okay. And you're worried about days. We'll get back to you.
Exactly.
It's like 32 on the list of things that we're concerned about right now. Don't know if we'll get to it.
But I do, I always, I pick my daughter up every day. Hey, did you get your homework done? Dad, there's no, like, because they have these different tests now that, and they had their big end of year tests about a week and a half ago. After that test was done, that school has been on autopilot. What's your homework? I don't have any homework. We're not doing anything.
Please, we got a board game going on in class, Dad.
So funny you say that. That was the email I got from the teacher yesterday. We're having an end of year celebration and board game day. Please send your child with an appropriate board game for school.
Well, wait a minute. Class is only like 40 something minutes, though. It's tough to play a board game in just 40 minutes.
What do you mean? What did I just tell you? There's no class. They're just sitting around having parties this time of year.
Okay. Today's National Donut Day. And in honor of it, we have 2 poll questions.
Krispy Kreme or Dunkin', the 2 big boy national chains. And I know there are others out there. We get it.
Right. Folks in Southwest Florida are telling us, what about trackside? Folks in Tampa are saying, well, what about this one?
But Krispy Kreme is whooping up on Dunkin' Donuts right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Krispy Kreme's a mid-major compared to Dunkin'. I know it's a Power 5, but it's a small Power 5. Wouldn't you say?
Definitely an AAC type of school. I mean, I don't even, or maybe a Big 12 now, but I see what you're saying.
I think this is TCU against Michigan. That's what I think this is. This is Krispy Kreme getting it done against Dunkin'. If Starbucks is the SEC representative, I feel like this is Krispy Kreme taking on, this is TCU Michigan right here.
How did Michigan lose that football game?
Yeah, really. Although I will say TCU had 7, 9 guys drafted. I mean, they really were. They were pretty good. They shouldn't have beat Michigan, but they really were pretty good. I mean, they couldn't beat K-State, but they could beat Michigan. How about that? Ohio State's still the only Big Ten team to win a game in this whole 14 playoff era. It's the last chance for a Michigan or a Penn State or somebody to get a win before we go to 12.
And you talked about Georgia and their schedule. Michigan.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Damn well better be undefeated when they're playing the Buckeyes.
I mean, the one thing Michigan can at least say if they get brought up in the same conversation as Georgia is, yeah, but our conference games are tougher. How about that? Think about that for a second. The Big Ten team can go, yeah, but our conference games are tougher. We're playing Ohio State and Penn State. That's 2 top 10 teams. Who's Georgia playing? Tennessee? Both teams we're playing are thought to be better than Tennessee. And we're playing 9. They're only playing 8. Seriously, I'll say it again. I know you think I'm being a jerk when I say if Georgia doesn't get to Atlanta, Georgia can go 11-1, lose at Tennessee, and in theory not represent the East and probably be ranked in the top 5 in the country. I'm telling you, if Georgia does not win the SEC this year, they should not be in the playoff. Anything shy of 13-0, I don't think Georgia should be in the playoff.
I agree with you, David. I'm just telling you what I believe the realities of college football are. Is that 11-1 Georgia goes if that loss is against Tennessee. Now, if they lose to anybody else on their schedule, it would be up for debate because the schedule's a joke.
Now, Georgia caught a bad break. They had Oklahoma scheduled week 2. I don't know if that game was in Athens or if it was in Norman, but it was a home and home. First half in this year, second half in 25. And then when Oklahoma and Texas joined the SEC and they couldn't complete the home and home in time, it was like, well, we can't do half of it because we can't honor the other half. So they canceled the whole thing entirely. And so Oklahoma got replaced with Ball State. And this year, Georgia Tech, their non-conference rival, is terrible. Over under a 4. New coach and everything. So Georgia caught a few bad breaks this year, but they weren't super aggressive in avoiding them either. Sankey said something interesting yesterday. Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC. So he was asked a series of questions about expansion. And he kind of fired some questions back at the media. He's like, why should we go above 16? Is bigger always better? How many conference games are we going to have to play if we go to 18 or 20? We're going to have to play 10? I mean, we're having a hard enough time figuring out whether we're going to go 8 or 9 with 16. And 9 works perfectly.
That's the part of this that has bothered me, is that it was really simple. 3 permanent games, 6 other games. You rotate those 6. So every, essentially 4 years, you're going to see everybody play at your stadium.
You'll do a home and home with everyone in the conference in a 4-year period of time. And then you got the 3 schools that you play every year. And they couldn't get 8, Mark. Or no, I'm sorry. They couldn't get, 8, because only 14 were allowed to vote yesterday. They couldn't get 8 of the 14 schools to vote for 9 because they only needed a majority. Think about that. Supposedly, they had 10 a week ago. They lost 3 votes in a week.
And for those of you wondering that we're taking on Georgia's schedule, just to review, Tennessee Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, at Auburn, Kentucky, at Vanderbilt, the Gators in Jacksonville, Missouri, Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Georgia Tech.
I mean, you could argue toughest part of their schedule is the middle of November. Ole Miss and at Tennessee back-to-back. You could argue that's the toughest part of their schedule. But they got the 8 conference games, the 6 on their side, Auburn and Ole Miss. And then the non-conference games, Georgia Tech. Tennessee, Martin, Ball State, and UAB, right?
Yes.
The three others. I mean, that's about as soft. I mean, come on, the SEC East, if we were to rate the divisions based on the strength of divisions, the SEC East would be middle of the pack at best. I mean, it would.
Georgia's over-under is 11. Tennessee's, I believe, is 10,
9.5.
9.5.
9.5.
Then after that, you're in the 7s.
Yeah. Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU are the schools whose over-under is 8 or higher. Everybody else's is below 8. And if you're trying to make the argument, well, they're all going to beat each other up. 8 conference games, a third of their schedule's non-conference. Remember, only 2 of the 14 schools are playing 10 Power 5 opponents, Florida and South Carolina. So when we crush on SEC scheduling, we do need to exclude Florida and South Carolina.
Because the Gators have Utah and Florida State, obviously.
But to give you an idea as to how passive, non-aggressive the SEC has been in scheduling. Remember, Mark, when Georgia did the home and home with Arizona State when they had Stafford and Marino 15 years ago, and people acted like, oh my goodness, Georgia's leaving the time zone. But more recently, when they did the home and home with Notre Dame, remember how the Georgia fan thought, oh, this is the greatest thing we've ever done. Well, when Florida goes to Utah in less than 12 weeks here, that's their first Power 5 non-conference opponent out of the South since George Herbert Walker Bush was president.
And the SEC has just flat out said, we're better, we don't have to.
Right. And I guess the question going forward is, will strength of schedule ever play a role in college football?
As we go to 12 teams in the playoff, and we're determining who's getting home games in this postseason scenario that's coming up, how are they going to determine strength of schedule in picking teams 5 through 12? Because 1 through 4 is pretty easy. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had, I mean, most years, we know who it should be by the end. We do. Every now and then you have a little 4-5 debate. We had the one year in 2014, we had a 4-5-6 debate as to who should get the last spot. They stuck it to the Big 12. They put Ohio State in. Ohio State won the national title. Everybody said, guess the committee knows what they're doing. By the way, enjoy the Pac-12. I don't know how many more years it's going to be around. And if it is around, I don't know how it's going to have much more weight than like the Sun Belt. Because the Big 12 and Big 10 apparently are expanding. And they're grabbing almost all their teams for the Pac-12. So trying to figure out what's going to be left.
That's the other thing that's coming up now. If you're right, and the people out there that are with you, and it doesn't seem like you're wrong, that the Pac-12 is going to completely change in front of our eyes here shortly, will the committee take the automatic conference bids from 6 conferences to 5?
Well, Mark, it would seem as if one conference would go away. I mean, either the rest of the Mountain West will join them, because if the 2 Arizonas, Utah and Colorado are going to the Big 12 to make them 16, and then Oregon and Washington are going to go to the Big 10, well, that only leaves Stanford, Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State. I mean, is the Pac-12 going to then what? Try to grab most of the Mountain West? Or is the Mountain West going to say to those 4 schools, hey, sorry, but you got a home here? I mean, I'm wondering, does the conference just go away? One of the 2 conferences to me would seem to be going away.
And then we'll be down to 5 conference champions.
Well, that's exactly. Will they amend it and say we only need, because if they stay at 6, okay, well, let me tell you, if you're Mike Oresco in the AAC, you're jumping up and down. They're like, well, hell, we're going to get our team in the playoff every year. We're the 5th best conference. That's not even arguable. Now it's just a matter of, is it going to be the Sun Belt or the Mountain West getting the 6th spot? Maybe Conference USA has an odd team to challenge for it.
And I think they'll amend it to 5. Because then that means one more SEC or one more Big Ten team gets in. And they're running the sport.
So it was interesting that Sankey kind of took a page out of the Miller and Moulton playbook the last few months when we've gone, why would the SEC go beyond 16? How does this financially benefit them? That's the only reason to do it.
Miller and Moulton. We'll switch gears. Talk some NBA coming up. Right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, damn. Third-seeded American Jessica Pegula lost this morning. They did, Hops. UAB did stop playing football for a year or two. And Bill Clark resurrected the program. And Trent Dilfer is their coach now. Well, I've seen more license plates and flags on cars and what have you than I saw in the fall. And they're definitely at 'em, letting everybody know, hey, I'm a dog. As well they should. This is what they waited for. This is what they always thought they could be.
Keith is on hold. We're back in 15.
Great.
And Chi-Town, if you're still there, yeah, they played Michigan, but it was a neutral site game.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton, at least along the network. In Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, Venice, halfway home for those in the 239 on National Donut Day. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Make sure you vote in our poll questions, Dunkin' or Krispy Kreme, and or your favorite donut. Keith Smith covers the NBA for a living. He does so for Spot Rack, and he's part of the NBA Front Office Show on YouTube. Follow Keith on Twitter, Keith Smith NBA, Keith Smith NBA. Keith, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this again. Hope you're well. How are you?
I'm doing well. And for the record, it's Krispy Kreme for donuts, but Dunkin' for coffee.
See?
Can't do that Dunkin' coffee. I'll go Starbucks on the coffee with you, but I know I lose that battle because, well, the Dunkin' folks get hot and bothered by that. Should the Heat be hot and bothered right now, or can they just chalk this up to a horrific night of shooting?
Yeah, I think it is a lot of that. They really crashed back to earth shooting wise, and that's tough. I think they ran out of steam. They got behind early. They had to push really hard to make it a game. then I think they just didn't have the legs to finish off that comeback. You could see that a lot in the shooting. They were missing short. Then it was like overcompensating, missing long, and just, bad night of shooting. But, they still were able to make it a game for quite a bit. So I think it's still going to be a good, long, fun, interesting series.
Well, that's where I was going to go next. We talked to you before the Eastern Conference Finals, and you said, I think this is going to be a 7-game war. I think, reluctantly even picked Boston. You thought that was going to be a tough series. You ended up being obviously right on. What was your gut feeling before tip last night?
Yeah, I picked 7 in this one too. Everything on paper says it should be like Denver in 5, but the Heat were supposed to lose to the Bucks in 4 or 5. They were supposed to lose to the Knicks. They were supposed to lose to the Celtics in 4 or 5. They don't care about what the paper says, right? They just want to play basketball. Get out there, let's throw it up, and let's play. And I think, Denver is a good team, but they go through these periods sometimes where they just they throw the ball all over the gym. They don't get back on defense. That they have some poor shooting nights themselves. And I think Miami is set up to take advantage of that. I think it'll be a long series. I think Denver will win, but I do think Miami's going to make them work for it.
All right. When you look at the free throw disparity, there's not a lot of people questioning how the fouls were called, but Miami's got to do a better job of getting to the rim. I thought that Butler had a game where he wasn't effective trying to go to the basket. He's got to lead them to the rim if they're going to get more attempts from the free throw line. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. He's got to find a way to get into the teeth of that defense and either set guys up where they'll draw fouls or, he'll do it himself. I thought they played a little bit of a passive game there. They were very content to take a lot of jump shots. And I get it. It's worked. They've shot very well over the course of these playoffs so far. But, yeah, they're going to need Jimmy Butler to get in there. Probably have one of those games where he, himself takes 12, 15 free throws, something like that. And the challenge is going to be, Denver showed him a few different looks. They put size on him with Aaron Gordon. They put, the kind of quicker perimeter guys, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown on him, and they're making him work. And that's the limitations right now for Miami. Right, he's got to create so much of the offense, and when it's not him, it really falls to Bam Adebayo. And then you're asking him to do that in addition to guard Nikola Jokic. That gets to be a big ask. That's where if Tyler Hero can get back in this series and be effective, boy, that could really start to change things and open stuff up for Miami's offense.
Keith Smith covers the NBA, Spot Rack, and the Front Office Show on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter, Keith Smith NBA, Keith Smith NBA. This Jokic guy, Keith. I mean, you talk to a lot of general managers and a lot of assistant general managers. I mean, come on. He fell to the second round. Nobody thought he was going to be this. I mean, this is like Bill Walton-esque. I'd even say, greater than Cowens and Unseld. This is how the game was played in the 60s and 70s, but we haven't seen this since Walton with the Blazers, really. I mean, has anybody said anything to you about how in the world they would try to play him?
Yeah, it's funny, how they would try to play him. There's a belief of your best bet is you got to have someone who can get up in underneath him and really kind of bother his dribble, get physical with him. But the challenge is that guy also has to have the size that Jokic isn't just going to turn his back to him, back him down and put him in the goal. So that's where, having that kind of big physical forward, but somebody who can also be quick enough to move their feet. And unfortunately, there's probably 7-8 guys like that in the entire league that can do that kind of defense and hold their ground physically and not get back down. So that's the problem. It's funny when you talk about the draft. I was just having a conversation earlier this week with an assistant general manager, and I said, what was you guys read on Jokic ahead of the draft? And he said, because our thought was maybe we can get him to lose some weight and get in better shape, and we can turn him into a 4, because we're like, he's not going to be able to hold up, as a 5. And, and he laughed about it. He's like, how ridiculously wrong was that? And, that's the thing, nobody saw this coming. Even the Nuggets folks that were around at the time will tell you, we were like, maybe he'll be a nice backup center someday. Maybe he'll evolve into being able to play the 4 some, and they didn't know they had this coming.
All right, from Denver's standpoint, the little comeback by Miami is almost what the doctor ordered, because now Malone can press them and say you didn't play a full 48 minutes and has things to correct. I thought this might have been the perfect win for Denver from that standpoint, that not only did they have a really comfortable game for 3 quarters, but they got scared enough in the 4th that Malone can press them and keep them keeping on, if you know what I mean, Keith.
No, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That's exactly what Michael Malone's going to do. He's going to probably start film today with all the things they did bad. And, I don't even know that he'll get into the things they did well. They may, from a standpoint of, hey, more of this, but he's definitely going to let him hear it, especially the start to the 4th quarter, where, Miami just kind of came out and was like, all right, we're going to, try to pick up the tempo a little bit. We're going to go. And I think, Malone's going to say, hey, that can't be how this goes. We need to be the aggressors. We need to be better. And they got a little sloppy a few times. They don't do well when they get into the, 1 or no pass possessions and they come down and it's a quick shot right away. They want to work it. They want to make it work. So that's something he's going to, I think, probably hammer home as well.
Nuggets shot less than 30% from beyond the arc, too. I mean, they can play a lot better. 104 is a very low offensive output for Denver. Credit Miami to some extent, but yeah, there's still a lot of room improvement for Denver. He's Keith Smith, Spot Rack, the NBA Front Office Show on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA, Keith Smith NBA. Listen, you covered the Celtics intimately for years up until a few days ago. A, did it surprise you that they brought Missoula back? And B, do you think they make a major move this offseason? Or do you think, in looking at the 2 teams and organizations in the finals, that Brad Stevens just continues to tinker around their core?
Yeah, on the Missoula question, we get to the East Finals, and I was convinced he was going to be back no matter what. And then it went so poorly in those first 3 games, and that game 3 especially, where the team just kind of quit and gave up. I thought if they had another game 4 like that, it was maybe in question if he'd be back. The reason why I thought he'd be back was they just gave him the full-time job and gave him an extension when they did that. So it's not generally, par for the course for a team to pay somebody to not coach them. So that part, him getting them to the game 7, and I think game 7, there's going to be a lot of people in the organization who are going to be like, hey, credit to Miami, they probably would have won anyway, but if Tatum doesn't turn his ankle 26 seconds in, what happens, in that game? Does it go differently? What if Jaylen Brown doesn't play, admittedly himself, one of the worst games he's ever played, what happens? So I don't think they're going to overreact to that. Now, the roster stuff, Brad Stevens said yesterday, he's like, we need to be a little bit better. And, I mean, that's true, right? They were in the East Finals in game 7. You can't, the path to get there was weird, but you can't really kind of, argue too much with that. You were right on the cusp. So I do think there is a chance. Now, what is also out there is there's the Jaylen Brown Supermax extension possibility. We'll see how that all plays out. And the looming CBA stuff with how limited the most expensive teams will be. We'll see if they start to make moves. I think you're going to see the Celtics and a handful of other teams in their kind of luxury tax situation start to make moves this summer to get things in line for what's to come over the next couple of years.
If you were running the Celtics, what would you do with Jaylen Brown?
I would offer him the Supermax because I can't see how you split up those 2 wings and then put it on him. And then if he balks and doesn't sign it, then you have to trade him, because one player in the history of the NBA, since the Supermaxes have been a thing, has turned it down, and that was Kawhi Leonard, and we all know that's because he wanted to be traded. Nobody else has turned it down, because the way the NBA works now is you take the money when it's offered to you, and then, if you get a year or 2, 3 in and you're not happy, then you ask for a trade at that time. We've all kind of come to accept that's going to be how it'll play out. So I'd offer it to him, but if he balks and says, nah, I'm not really sure about that, there's no way for him to make any more money. It's not even like if he has another big season, it'll be more money. It'll be, whatever it's going to be anyway. So I would, at that point, then you have to look into a trade, because that's a signal of probably doesn't want to be there, and you can't risk losing him for nothing next summer.
Got about 30 seconds left. Is game 2 an absolute must for Miami, or do you think it's still a series if they go home down 0-2?
Yeah, I think it can still be a series because they are going home. I think that's the difference. If they were, the higher seeded team and you go down 0-2, it's really tough to, make it into a series. But, I think, it'd be great to win, right? If you're the lower seeded team, your goal is always, let's get a split in those first 2 games. Let's steal home court advantage. Let's get home and kind of get to work there. So, it's going to be, tough. They're going to have to work because you said it, Denver can play a lot better too. So it's not just Miami that, had a rough night. I mean, there were parts for Denver that didn't go well too. So it's going to be a really fun series, I think, either way, no matter who wins. But yeah, if you're the Heat, you definitely want to get game 2 just to even things up going back home.
Keith, you've been a friend of the show for years. We're very appreciative of it. We hope all is well with you and the family. Continued success when you make some changes this summer, and continued good luck with Spot Rack and the NBA Front Office Show on YouTube, and we'll talk soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Keith Smith, NBA is how you follow him on Twitter. Keith Smith, NBA.
Clank.
If you weren't with us earlier, that was Felipe describing the Heat's performance in Game 1 in a nutshell. We're going to break down Game 1, Felipe. Break it down.
Clank.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh. Adam, that's either a hell of a trick or a hell of a pony. Yeah, FGC Saber. We think they're going to announce the Ja Morant thing within 48 hours of the draft, maybe even the night before the draft. Announce it and then try to bury it with the draft.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We're fired up. NBA Finals got underway last night. Denver won by 11. Stanley Cup Finals get underway tomorrow night. You remember the Florida Panthers. They haven't played in a month and a half or so, it seems. But also, Mark, we had a championship awarded last night. The night before National Donut Day, by the way. A couple of poll questions out about that. Big topic of conversation on the show. We had a championship awarded last night. And a Florida kid won it. National Spelling Bee. Remember when this was a thing? Like 10 years ago? It was like on ABC, for goodness sakes.
It was on network television.
Yeah, for a few years. It was kind of like, poker. Remember, poker's still out there and what have you. But remember, poker had like a handful of years where it was like the rage.
Yeah, then gambling became legal in most every state, and poker wasn't as important on television anymore.
Exactly.
SportsCenter top 10. Iridocyclitis.
Gesundheit. Keep it to your damn self. All right. But remember the kid who, I forget what year it was, he faints. He's got 30 seconds. They tell him the word. He faints. And he gets back to his feet and spells it correctly within the 30 seconds. I mean, honestly, it's like Willis Reed coming out of the tunnel.
Jordan flu game performance.
Right, exactly. One of the greatest things we've ever seen.
You're on your own with this one because I didn't watch it when it was popular. I certainly didn't watch it last night.
I didn't either. Okay. But listen, if you knew what network it was on last night, which I did, all right, that in and of itself is probably a bad sign for you. It was on Ion Television. Ion, who the Pac-12 was negotiating with for a short period of time. Yeah. They have like Blue Bloods, Law and Order, FBI reruns, and the WNBA. Hello.
So Blue Bloods reruns are on that channel. That's why you know where it is.
Exactly.
You get a 1 hour cop show. Moulton's got his name on that one.
First, I got to get the clicker away from my wife. So 8th grader from Largo won it. Dev Shah, S-H-A-H. Okay. Here's the word. Samophile. It's an organism that prefers or thrives in sandy soil. Of course, a Florida kid would know this, right? Samophile. Starts with a P. P.S. Right away. All of us. Wrong. But if you knew that, this sucker's doable. Samophile. Think about it. Pedophile. We all know how to spell ophile. So now Samo. If you knew P.S., then Mark, your big decision is 1M or 2. If you knew how the word started, you're like, oh, wow, this is doable. Turns out it's 2 M's. P-S-A-M-M-O file. There you go. An organism that prefers or thrives in sandy soil. He could have gone with stone crab. They went with Samophile. So there you go.
Samophile.
Samophile. Yeah. But just, Florida, we are the Florida Sports Network. It's not sports, but I mean, it aired on television. So what the heck?
Hell, it used to air on ESPN.
Erin Andrews would work the comfort room. I text her last night. I go, do you miss the comfort room? Milk and cookies and all? She did it for like 3 years.
Did she miss it?
She said no.
Okay. Well, I just figured, you throw it out there. We got to at least get EA's answer on the subject.
Right. She said she didn't miss it. Okay. She's kind of, moved on to Super Bowls and all. But it was on ABC for a few years.
It was.
They'd use it to promote the NBA Finals. It's like that damn dog show. That Westminster dog show is like one of the highest rated things on cable. So anyway,
I had seen a story. It pales in comparison to Samophile.
Samophile.
But did you see this story about, everybody's trying, the McDonald's for a month and how unhealthy and all this? Guy did McDonald's for 100 days straight and lost 58.5 pounds.
Wow. What'd he do?
He ate half. He ate half. He did breakfast, lunch, and dinner at McDonald's for 100 days. Quit soda, did water. That's part 1.
That's big.
That's a huge portion of it.
Part 2, only would eat half of what he ordered. Trying to break the myth that it's not the food, it's the portion control. And he didn't do any snacking and didn't drink any alcohol for those 100 days. Lost 60 pounds. Eating McDonald's. It can be done.
Well, what the hell do you do with the other half?
You don't eat it.
Would you throw it away? That's got to be a felony in some states, right? Come on.
It's called portion control. It's a philosophy that you and I have never really followed through on.
With all due respect, sir and I don't mean you. I'm talking to the guy who lost the 58 pounds. By the way, good for you. Well done. But, sir, why do you go to McDonald's when you're worried about portion size? That would seem to be a contradiction. I mean, does he throw it out or does he eat the other half like for lunch? Like, they got the 2 burritos thing with the hash brown as a breakfast meal and the coffee. So do you only eat the 1 burrito and then you eat the other burrito for lunch? Eat half the hash brown? By the way, can you stop halfway through a hash brown?
He did. He had portion control.
That's unbelievable.
Restraint.
No,
And he said he ate so small that by the time the next meal rolled around, he was starving.
I'm with David. You can't stop halfway through a McDonald's hash brown.
You
can't do that. You can't. It's not possible.
So you get the sausage and cheese on a biscuit and you only eat half? What the heck?
No interest?
No, I want to come up with a word to describe him. You know who he is? He's a Samophile.
He's skinny. You want a word to describe him? Skinny.
Where are you going to lose weight? McDonald's? What? Yeah. Dropping pounds like crazy. What? Of course, he's wasting a lot of money.
Same age as you. This can be done.
I was going to say, I could go to McDonald's 100 days in a row. Easily. No problem, in fact.
300 meals from McDonald's. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Done. Consider it done. Now, what I would eat in a day is probably what he eats in a week.
What if we just took you so you didn't feel like you were throwing food out instead of doing the quarter-pounder meal, which is your go-to? You just do a cheeseburger and a small fry.
You know what? I cannot do the fries. I don't order a lot of fries, but I order multiple sandwiches.
We just go down to one.
You know
we
what?
Start at one sandwich.
So 1 double cheeseburger is what you're saying?
1 double cheeseburger.
Yeah, but I have it 3 times a day.
Miller and Moulton. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mhm. You know, DC, I'm trying. What is the difference between a McDouble and a double cheeseburger besides 50 cents? I mean, they both have 2 patties and cheese. I just, the only thing I could tell is a McDouble has a pickle, a bigger pickle, and yet it's cheaper. I don't understand. So the McDouble only has 1 slice of cheese? Gotcha. So the extra slice is 50 cents. Interesting. Tell you what, you do that McDouble and that McChicken sandwich, it's about $5 and change with tax. Boom. In and out of that drive-thru. Let's go. Move this sucker along. I thought McDonald's did away with the double hamburgers. Like they used to do a double quarter pounder without cheese. I thought they did away with that.
Can't help you.
Right. Mark hasn't ordered McDonald's like in this century. Must not
Probably in this century. I'm sure at some point when you and I and John were doing the show that I had McDonald's brought here.
But you in a McDonald's drive-thru, I don't know if it's happened this century.
Yeah,
maybe in the very early 2000s.
Once for breakfast. I've done a breakfast on the road where it was the only thing there on a trip, and we ran through a McDonald's for a breakfast because I can still do a sausage McMuffin with cheese. They don't screw that up.
They used to have the chicken snack wrap. My daughter grew up on them, and then they got rid of them for some reason.
I don't know. I don't know if my daughter's ever had McDonald's.
I doubt she has, unless your wife.
She had the breakfast once. I know that for a fact, but I don't know if she's ever had like a Happy Meal.
Wow. Because most parents give in just for like the toy.
It's enough. There's enough crap.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Wait a minute. You add something to a McDonald's meal? What are you trying to do? Hold up the whole line?
What's worse, a special order in the McDonald's drive-thru line or having 11 items in the 10 and under line?
11 in the 10, because that's breaking the rules. You are allowed to. I mean, Nick's not technically doing anything wrong. You are allowed to ask for something extra that they don't normally put on it if they have it. Yeah, 11 items is definitely worse. I'm with you, Hobbs. Wait, McDonald's has tomatoes. They got one in the back.
Yeah,
see how long it can last.
McDLT, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I do love the fast food joints where people say, ready for your order. And they're like, hold on, I need to look. It's like, wait a minute. What do you mean you need to look? You're in the drive-thru at Wendy's.
On hold, they're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour is up. Our final segment in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour awaits at the top of the hour in the 239. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. He is the Big O, Orlando Alzugaray. He's got the Big O Radio Show podcast weekdays at 10 a.m. But boy, has he been busy for the last 6 weeks, doing special shows before and after Heat and Panthers games. He's back at it again. Follow him on Twitter at Big O Show, Big O Show. You getting any rest? I mean, you work hard, you party hard with all the concerts you go to. You have been grinding it.
You only live once, brother. You get plenty of time to rest. And when you're an insomniac, it's actually a really, it's normal now. So when you struggle to sleep as it is, you're always up. So while you're up, let's work. Let's have some fun. And let's take part in two things that we never thought we would be taking part in. So these playoffs, like I just told your producer that, the Heat they're playing with house money, man. It sucks to lose last night, but what are you going to do, man? I mean, they're at a spot nobody expected them to be a month ago.
And Orlando, you can look at last night and chalk it up to horrific shooting. Maybe the grind from the 7 games and maybe not, having the energy that they needed. But there's a lot, not necessarily excuses, but there's a lot of easy fixes for the Heat heading into game 2, don't you think?
Yeah, look, Denver's the better team. I picked them in 6 as much as I want the Heat to win, and my heart is with the Heat. But, obviously your job and my job is to look at it and think, what do you think is really going to happen? So Denver's the better team. But Miami last night, strangely, if they shot better and if Jimmy came to play, Jimmy had no free throws. Are you kidding me? And I know that Bam was asked about it after the game. And I know he kind of downplayed it, but it had nothing to do with the referees not calling or anything like that. They didn't attack the paint like they should have when they were struggling with threes, whereas Denver killed you in the paint, and they can also shoot the 3. And so Miami did not do a little bit of both. And then I'm really wondering, Jimmy Butler's injured, right? There's got to be something going on because it's game 1. You didn't play with your hair on fire. How does Jimmy Butler go 0-0 from the free throw line? And that's because he wasn't attacking the rim like he normally does. And, it was a rough one where that, excuse me, if a couple of the guys show up along with Jimmy, it could have been a different game last night, actually.
Orlando Alzugaray, the Big O Radio Show podcast. 10 a.m. weekdays, and he does special shows in and around the Heat and the Panthers during their finals runs. Follow him on Twitter at Big O Show, Big O Show. Listen, these teams only play twice a year. So when I throw this stat out at you, I really don't know if it means anything. But, the Heat and Nuggets have both been good here for the last few years. Denver's 10-1 in their last 11 meetings against the Heat. Yeah. Like I said, they only play twice a year, Orlando, so it's real easy to dismiss. But when you watch Denver, do you just look at them and go, they do things that give the Heat problems?
They're better. They're better. I mean, Jokic is the best player on the court, and Jamal Murray, I can argue, is the second best player on the court. Jimmy would be number 3. If you had a big 3, Jimmy would be your 3 for those guys. Let's be honest. Let's just call it like we see it. Jamal Murray is special, man. And then Porter has turned into a hell of a player, and he's, a lot of people were concerned with his back when he got drafted. Former UMer Bruce Brown coming off the bench. Caldwell Pope. Also, I mean, they're loaded. They've got a really good team. They're deep. They're athletic. They're long. They're better than the Miami Heat. I mean, that's just a bottom line. Look, the Miami Heat is the best story in the NBA. It's a story that every coach can use as an example at every level of basketball because they overachieve. They're always playing hard. They're always trying to play the game the right way. They're playing with each other usually also, where they're making the right pass, the extra pass to open up their teammates. So they use each other the right way. So it's a great example. But, there are times where Princeton finally runs into a really good team. Maybe that's an old reference that only guys like you and me understand. But back in the day, for those that don't understand, Princeton had Pete Carrill, I think it was the coach for many, many years. And he was a great, great coach, but he was there where he wasn't going to get the great players. But you knew every time you played that team, you were in for a mission because they played the game the right way. And, once in a while they'd give somebody a scare in the NCAA tournament and that kind of stuff. So it was a great story. And that's what the Heat are. They're a beautiful story of, work and resilience and fighting and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, talent outweighs everything. And right now you can see it. You watched it last night. When you watch what you were on display, you saw a much better team in Denver than Miami. Miami is, got probably the edge in coaching and then the edge in the culture, because obviously it's been in place for a quarter century. So all of that stuff is in place, and that gives them a fighting chance. But Denver's got the goods, man. And you just got to give them props.
And this is the first time, Orlando, I don't know if you agree or disagree, but yeah, they have the edge in coaching, but it's an edge. It's not a canyon like it's been in the first three series.
Yeah. There's no doubt. That you're right about that. Malone, obviously, Brendan's son, a longtime assistant and a head coach too for a short time, was a hell of a coach in this league, and obviously his son has followed in his footsteps. He's done a terrific job, and the way they design that offense, and obviously how they have all those options off the pick and roll with Jokic and Murray. It's just, fantastic. And the front office has done an excellent job because they've traded for certain guys, they've drafted certain guys, and hell, Jokic is the 41st pick in the draft, and he has turned out to be the best player in the NBA. That's as impressive as it gets. We talk about the undrafted players here with Miami. The Jokic story is pretty damn special too.
It is. In fact, Brady, the 199 story in the NFL, I have a feeling in the NBA, they're going to be talking about pick 41 for a long time as well. Let's switch gears. Let's talk Panthers. You've got your finger and more on the South Florida sports scene. Has the Heat kind of pushed the Panthers' special run to the side, or is this kind of like when a CVS and a Walgreens make sure they're catty corner and that one helps feed the other? Has the Heat actually helped people pay attention to the Panthers' run?
No, the Panthers have helped themselves to pay attention to their run. And when they've done that, now they're not going to be equal to the Heat because basketball is bigger. Basketball has been more entrenched in this town, and kudos to Pat Riley and Mickey Harrison. They have made us a basketball town. When obviously we're a football town, but we have a lot of passion for basketball. Remember, with FAU and UM and Nova Southeastern, that kind of set the scene. Also, basketball has been pretty sweet down here, overall. But the Panthers, the way they play, how exciting they are, and what Kachuk has brought to the table. Back in the 90s, it was, I covered those teams as a beat guy. And when they got to the Stanley Cup and going to practice, there were 200-300 people outside of Pompano Ice waiting for autographs. And there was a buzz in town, but it was kind of the same story of what the Heat is right now. It's kind of that Cinderella story and all that kind of stuff. With these cats, I think what we're seeing is, and even though they had a crappy regular season, it was more about changing the entire system. They were injured throughout the year. They didn't get healthy till the end of the year. And then the goaltender finally started playing to the level that they signed him 4 years ago. So it took like 4 years for Bob to kind of find his groove, and he finally found his groove. And then, kind of everything's been put together. But Kachuk and Verhaeghe and Barkov and Burnett and Montour and Duclair and all these kind of guys have really given the Panthers, the town's attention. And so it's been pretty cool to watch that people do care more about the Panthers. There's more of a buzz, finally, in town. And kudos to the ownership, because this is the fourth straight year that they've made the playoffs. something, these are things that they've never done before. So now you're going deep into the playoffs, which is something that you need to do in order to sell it in this town. Remember, we're a transient town like Western Florida is too. People like myself are freaks. I was born in Belle Glade, which is the western corner of Palm Beach County, and raised here in South Florida. Very few people like myself exist in South Florida. We are the minority, actually. Real Floridians are the minority. And so it's just one of those things that in order to win people over, because they're from so many other places and so many other countries, when you're here in South Florida, you've got to kind of, get them on board and things like that. So it takes a little bit. Heat, Panthers, Marlins, anything that isn't football, you're going to have to earn your audience. Like Larinaga has earned his audience with college basketball. It's the same thing. And so the Panthers have done a really nice job of climbing that ladder. And all the kudos goes to Vinny Viola and Doug Sifu, who have created that as owners, because they have never shied away from spending money, keeping their own, making the trades that they have to make, get the best coaches, get the best GMs, facilities, all of that. Everything that they do is top notch and class A. So that's the reason why the Panthers are growing. They've got an ownership group that is really making an effort here in this town.
Well, Bill Zito will go down with one of the best trades in hockey history with bringing Tkachuk over. I mean, it's incredible being able to pull that move up, being able to sell ownership on what had to be done and them doing it. But with this being said, Orlando, we've got a couple minutes left. What do you think of the series? Because I think you look the same. You already mentioned the Nuggets are better than the Heat. Well, I think Vegas is deeper and better than the Florida Panthers. Bobrovsky obviously can be the difference maker.
Yeah, and we saw that with Beezer when they couldn't score with a fistful of dollars, in a woman's house. I don't want to say what kind of house on your show. I'd say it on mine, but I don't know about yours. But yeah, but this team, I think has got they've got the clutch guys to do it. Vegas is awesome. They're experienced. My Lord, has there ever been an expansion team like Vegas? Does anybody know an expansion team like Vegas in any sport whatsoever? I've never seen anything like this. This is a quality franchise from the second they came into the league. So yeah, there's no doubt that they've got a ton of guys that you've got to worry about. But I really like the Panthers here. I think the Panthers are a hot team right now, and they're a confident team, and they're also well rested, which I think that's a really good thing for them. The only concern I have is Bob's been off a lot, so now he has to kind of get back on the horse and kind of play the way he's been playing. But I love this Panthers team. They've got the kind of fight that I didn't think they had last year. And last year, in the middle of those playoffs, I was like, you got to trade Jonathan Huberdeau. You can't be led by Barkov and Huberdeau because they're kind of mellow people. You need a star that is going to light a fire in people. And sure enough, they were able to, the Tkachuk trade ended up happening. But obviously with Stevenson and Marcia Salt and Eichel and those guys, they've got some players on that team. There's no doubt about it. But I really think that the Panthers have enough defensively, and that goalie, if he's playing the way he's been playing throughout the playoffs and eliminating, Boston like they did in that first round, and then Carolina after that. I think Toronto was an impressive one, but Carolina and Boston were incredibly impressive. I think this team has everything you need to win it. And while Vegas might have the edge, I wouldn't be this one. I'm picking the Panthers. I picked Denver in the NBA. I'm picking the Panthers in this one, man. I'm going with the Panthers in 6.
Orlando Alzugaray, the Big O radio show podcast. He'll be doing it a little more than an hour, 10 a.m. weekdays, all the places you can get your podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Big O Show. Big O Show. Orlando, thanks. Congratulations on all your success, and we'll talk again later in the summer.
Thank you, my brother. All we do is survive. That's all we can do in this world. You all be good out there.
Orlando Alzugaray, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
I hate to say it, but Vegas is going to win this in 7.
Panthers have won 11 of 12 and 8 straight road games. But I'm with Orlando. It all depends on, does the hot goalie stay hot after a 9-day layoff? Miller and Moulton.
Napa Auto Parts and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, Dead Shark. We actually think, me more than Mark, but that this, I'm a believer in the whole, sometimes it's just a city sports year. And between FAU and the Canes and now the Heat and the Panthers, even the Marlins, in playoff contention as June starts. I'm betting money on the Dolphins.
Ugh. So are you going over on 13.5 then?
What are you talking about?
Number of games, Tua starts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Billy Horschel shot 84 yesterday and then
Yeah.
got really emotional in the presser.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Friday, the first such one of June. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Heat get beaten game 1. Panthers get to play game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals tomorrow night. I just threw a flippant comment out there to Orlando Alzugaray, who joined us last segment. By the way, if you missed Keith Smith or Orlando Alzugaray last hour, make sure you go to floridasportsnetwork.com, probably before lunch, and download what you missed. But, Jokic taken 41st overall. Is this going to become the Brady pick in the NBA? And I'm not saying he's as good at his sport as Brady is at his, and, but just, we all know, I mean, how it's thought of, you got a lottery pick in the NBA and everybody else is, I don't even know if they'll make it. Like Giannis was taken 15th overall. That's considered, wow, somebody that good to go from 15. Damn. Well, Jokic went 41. Even the guy who drafted him, who's now with the Timberwolves, he said, well, he wasn't really in good shape. He was kind of lumpy, dumpy, and we thought if he got in shape, he could maybe be a serviceable big man. So what the heck? Pick 41, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid playing overseas? Sure, what the heck?
I don't think it'll change the way NBA teams trade draft picks.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be holding on to all those second-round picks hoping they can find their Jokic.
But if you have one, do you just start drafting more teenage Euros? Go, who knows? Maybe it turns into Jokic.
Now, I think there's a little bit to that. I would reach across the pond before I would reach for a college kid in the second round.
But I mean, there was no, and remember the Brady pick, I don't believe was shown live. I think ESPN was doing their coverage and they go, let's show you the last 5 guys who have been taken. And they go, 96, 97, 98. And then all of a sudden the full screen graphic of Tom Brady, Michigan, that sort of deal. Well, when Jokic got drafted, they were running a Taco Bell commercial.
Of course they were. When aren't they running a Taco Bell commercial in association with the NBA?
I'm just saying. I
mean, that new lemon lime drink came over and took Sprite out of the equation because it was Sprite forever.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's bat blank crazy right there that they actually were moved away from a drink.
So 9 years ago in the draft. Now, I think the commercial was running, but so was the crawl live. So the crawl, I think, had it as it happened, but a Taco Bell commercial was running. So because that video has obviously been shown now. It's like, well, here's when Jokic was taken, and they're running a Taco Bell spot. It's like, wait, I thought you were going to show me when Jokic was taken. Yeah, look at the bottom of the screen.
If I were to go back to fast food, and I don't eat fast food anymore, I'd run to the border first.
Really?
I would.
Why?
I love tacos. It's so hard to screw a taco up.
You do. You soft or hard shell?
It doesn't matter.
Well, no, come on. You have to make a choice.
At Taco Bell, I'd go hard shell. I'd go the Taco Supreme hard shell.
Gotcha.
The Doritos Locos Taco is amazing.
Oh
my God.
I was going to say your taco version of amazing and Mark's are very different. So hence the look on his face, Felipe. But I mean, I agree. It's tasty. It is tasty. Today's National Donut Day. And if you're just finding out, don't think, oh, it's already 9:00. It's too late to get one. Hell no. Treat yourself. Little late morning snack. Hell, make it a mid-afternoon snack after lunch.
Maybe the best text we've received in support of any one item came today on the show. And it just simply says, my girlfriend is vegan and will cheat to eat a hot and ready Krispy Kreme.
Yes! Here's my question, though. Why is that cheating? I thought you're just not supposed to eat meat.
No, vegans, nothing. No eggs, no cheese, no milk.
Ah, for goodness sake. Why in the hell would anybody do that? Come on. Live a little. I mean, if you don't feel the artery hardening, I mean, are you really living? Come on.
Anybody else ever think one day when David goes out, he's just going to either spontaneously combust? I think that's what it is. I think one day you're going to explode at a drive-thru.
Well, I hope it's right after I finish the 2 double cheeseburgers. Because let me tell you, if I got to the pearly gates and I'd go, seriously, you took me out like right after I ordered them? I didn't even like get the bag. I'm like the next car in line. And you took me out? Seriously? You couldn't have waited 2-3 minutes tops. I would have had those suckers pounded. Unbelievable. By the way, where are all my socks and pens? I want them back. Me and George Carlin. Give me the box with the socks and pens. I want them all back.
You would want the pens more than the socks, though, because it really honks you off when your pens get stolen. It's one thing I've noticed about you. When I worked with, side by side, if your pen was gone, it would start the day off on the wrong note.
I think the last time I called my wife at work was because I was so bent out of shape because all the pens were gone. And I couldn't write a note because I didn't have any pens.
I don't know how that happens. I don't know how a house runs out of pens.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I do know how. They buy purses the size of Finland, and they're all laying at the bottom of them. My wife is good for saying, oh my goodness, I have like $37 extra than I thought I had. And, oh, hey, do you need any pens? Do you have a couple of them? And she reaches in and hands me 14.
And that $37 is all in change.
Well, in my wife's case, she crumples up the dollars too, which, just.
What? Wait a minute.
I know.
Wait a minute. This is breaking news. She crumbles up bills?
Yeah, either crumpled or folded like 6 times. Honestly, I look at her all the time and go, it's a good thing you're hot because you drive me nuts. Nuts.
Oh, that would really freak me out.
Crumple up my money, steal my pens. Honestly.
Are you one of those that keeps all your money facing the same way?
Yes. Are you serious? Okay, that the money can go differently? Okay? No, of course it's also in the wallet, it's lined up. Big bills to medium to small. Absolutely. And yes, it's all heads, by the way. Okay, the money goes in where I can see the president. Yes.
I'm a little messy for me. It's back to front. It's back to front, but there's a couple that are facing the wrong way. But I'm with you.
Man, you better have a pen when I need it then.
I'll have that for you. But I don't even have an extra. The backpack has one. It's all we use for the show. You know why? No one ever goes in the backpack but me.
Good. Stay away from my damn pens. You can touch my Krispy Kreme today. Stay away from my pens.
For the record, I do the double fold with bills, make it like a rectangle.
It's Felipe, it's a fireable offense. It really is.
When do you ever have cash?
It's a good point. I don't have any on me right now.
You have no, like right now, you do not, you couldn't go to the vending machine and buy yourself a soda.
I don't even know where my wallet is.
Not only does he not have cash, he doesn't even know if he has a wallet with him, David.
Well, then he's certainly qualified to work on this show.
Yep, no cash.
Well, listen, the greatest segment Colin Cowherd ever did was got to be 10, 12 years ago, which he said, so apparently the average guy's got $23 in his wallet. And literally you could tell who was listening to the show. People just pulled their cars over and started going through their wallet.
Felipe has a big under there.
Miller and Moulton on this Friday. It is National Donut Day, and in honor of it, we have two poll questions: Dunkin' or Krispy Kreme, and then the second one is your favorite donut. What do we go with? Glazed, chocolate, iced, and jelly?
Glazed, Long John, jelly, and other. And glazed is just running away with it.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, though, other was getting like 1/5 to 1/4 of the vote.
Boston cream and other are getting 1/5. Nobody likes a jelly donut, and half of you would eat a glazed donut. Krispy Kreme is whooping up on Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, thank goodness. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with Dunkin'. It's got its place. Okay. It's solid. Just, in and out. It's McDonald's. It's McDonald's. It's the McDonald's of, coffee and donuts, 8,000 of them. And yeah, in and out, it's affordable, the whole deal. Highest quality? No. But you're trading it off. It's a $2 coffee versus $6 coffee. It's an affordable donut. The donuts are like $1 cheaper than Krispy Kreme. I mean, when you go there, you know what you're going there for. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's not as good. It's got its place. We're fine with that. Did I say anything wrong there? Is my scouting report wrong?
I'll take your word for it on these prices being that much cheaper, but I didn't think Dunkin' was that much cheaper than anyone else. But I don't do a lot of Dunkin' Donuts, so I'll take your word on the pricing.
So, I know, listen, I'm not a coffee person, but my wife is. I make runs all the time to get her coffee. I know the one place is $6 and the other place is $2.
The hell is she getting at Starbucks for $6 is what I want to know.
Oh, please.
See, that's the whole thing, is once you go there and start doing, mocha frappa latte.
Venti latte, right. Put some cream on it, right. It's one of those. It is. I don't get it either. What would you like? I'd like a coffee. What would you like in your coffee? Coffee.
It's how I drink it. What do you want with the coffee? Nothing.
Right.
I will say, Mr. Traffic brings up in the wallet, do you have a hidden bill? That's so old school. If you got the hidden $100 in the wallet, I don't.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
He can hit threes. He can hit some threes.
So SI started doing their own world golf rankings. That's interesting. Brooks Koepka is number 3 in the world, according to SI. When I moved to Atlanta out of college, I gave up pop. And I don't say pop anymore. My wife still says pop. Pittsburgh is a pop town. Where are you in Michigan right now, Mr. Traffic? Are you the one that was in Michigan today? Where the tough hockey players come from. Give us the top 10 what? Tough downriver hockey players? God, I couldn't do that. But I mean, the downriver kids are just tougher. They're not the rich, pretty boys. When they play hockey, the tougher kids are downriver kids. That's all.
So do you have the SI list in front of you?
Oh, I'm sorry. That list. Yeah. World Golfer top 10. Sorry.
No, we can do it on air.
Okay.
Because also you could tell me the Horschel thing. I saw that he shot 84. I didn't realize he was emotional afterwards. Is it about the Gators winning the national title?
Here we go.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Nuggets beating the Heat by 11. That's a win and a cover. Thank you very much. Game 2 Sunday night in Denver. Expect the spread to be around the same. Maybe slightly less, but around 9. Game 1 Stanley Cup Finals tomorrow night, Vegas. TNT, 8 o'clock. Golden Knights. This is their 6th year in existence. Their second trip to the Stanley Cup Finals. 4 of the 6 years they've made it to the conference finals. The only other franchise off the top of my head, Mark, that I could think of to have anything close to this, and it's kind of tainted. The NHL, when they went from 6 to 12 in the late 60s, I think it was 67, they kept the original 6 all in one division.
Right.
And the 6 new teams were all playing in the other. And so the 2 teams in their respective division/conference, you know, the original 6 had 1 team survive and go to the finals. And then the new teams had 1 team survive and go to the finals. So the expansion, St. Louis Blues, went to the finals the first 3 years of their existence. But you got to admit, 12-team league and the way it was set up, I mean,
I'm. That's a great pull, but you're right. It's a very jaded.
You know, I mean, really, the Dolphins had a remarkable start. They had a couple of rough seasons, but then I think after 3 years, they went and hired Shula, and Shula took them to 3 straight Super Bowls. Lost the first one, won the next 2. I mean,
so on the rest theory of this series, you know, the Panthers have been off forever.
Right.
Vegas is not. It is the 4th longest break between games for a Stanley Cup final ever. The only other ones was the 1919 Canadiens, whose final was canceled after 5 games because of the flu epidemic.
I remember that.
The 19 Bruins and the 03 Ducks both lost the cup in 7, having longer layoffs.
Ducks lost on the road. Bruins lost at home to St. Louis. By the way, you picked Vegas in 7. I'm picking the Panthers in 7. And besides the fact that I think they've got the better goalie, which I think at the end of the day will be the difference. But also, Mark, with as crazy a year as we've had in the NHL playoffs, How can A, not the underdog, and B, the road team not win? I mean, road teams still have a winning record in the Stanley Cup playoffs by like 10, 12 games above 500. I mean, so I got to take the team that's playing more road games. And in theory, if I think this sucker's going the distance, then I'm taking the road team.
Greg Wyshynski, who we've had on the show many a time, he used to be the puck daddy before he went to ESPN, had a long breakdown of every single detail that you could get in an article on ESPN Plus. I mean, from coaches to off ice to ownership, and just ranks all of them. But that's where I got that rest information from earlier today, finding that. So the fourth longest layoff in NHL history going to the Stanley Cup Finals. So we'll see how that bodes, because the other ones lost with the long layoffs in the Bruins and the Ducks. SI, David, started their own golf rankings.
Good for them.
I've got the official world golf rankings in front of me, and I have the SI world golf rankings in front of me. And they are a bit different.
Really?
Now, they both have the same number 1.
Rahm or Scheffler?
Scheffler. And the same number 2.
I would not. I would go Rahm. I really would.
How?
What do you
Scotty
mean,
Smith
how?
is playing unbelievable golf right now. The guy is in every tournament every week.
What are you talking about? Rahm won the Masters. Rahm won 3 events between the British Open and the Masters. I mean, no, I would just
playing better right now.
It might be, but I would take. I tell you what, right now, one guy for your life. Who would you pick? Rahm or Scheffler? Right now, today, Rahm or Scheffler? I mean, they're both playing in the Memorial, same course. Okay, if they were a prop bet, who's going to beat the other today? Who would you take?
Scheffler.
Okay, I'll take Rahm.
Now, the number 3 is vastly different. Rory McIlroy is the world golf rankings number 3 player.
Okay.
According to Sports Illustrated, it's Brooks Koepka.
Take your LIV and shove it, Rory.
The number 4 in the world golf rankings is Patrick Cantlay. And Scheffler is 5. In the SI world golf rankings, it just flipped them.
Wait, Scheffler or Schauffele?
Schauffele.
Gotcha.
Schauffele's 4, Cantlay's 5. And Rory is 6 on the SI list. Max Homa is currently 6 on the world golf rankings. Victor Hovland, 7 on the world golf rankings. Matthew Fitzpatrick is 7 on SI. Hovland is 8.
So where's the next LIV golfer according to SI?
Ironically, according to SI, it's Cam Smith, and he's 14th on their list. He's actually 9th on the world golf rankings list. Now, you know that's going to drop every week.
Well, and especially after the Open Championship, because he won it last year, and if he doesn't defend, it's a huge drop in points.
So the SI, Kurt Kitayama 9, Jordan Spieth 10. They have Max Homa 11 for those that are interested. But they have Dustin Johnson ranked 20th. I think that's appropriate.
SI does?
Yeah. Taylor Gooch 25. Phil Mickelson 27. DeChambeau 34.
Listen, I'm a Phil guy. That's a little high for Phil. I mean, come on. Let's be real.
I'd have DeChambeau ranked ahead of Phil Mickelson, but that. So I find it interesting that SI started doing their own world golf rankings.
Yeah. Hey, what happened with Horschel yesterday? I saw he shot an 84. You said there was more to the story than that?
Well, he got really emotional and really laid it all out in a post-match presser about just how badly he's playing.
Wow.
Had to fight back tears. Said, I'm working really hard, trying to do the right things. The team's doing everything really well. It sucked today. Yesterday, sort of thought I didn't hit it very good in the Pro-Am, and even after the round wasn't bad. I mean, on video, it looks good. Technically, it's not that far off, but I'm not able to hit the cut the way I want. I can't get the ball to start left the way I want. So when it comes down to just having more precise control on a course like this, it's just tough. And all the words are fine, but did this basically fighting off tears about how hard he's working. And he says, as much as I would like to throw in the towel and not come out tomorrow, that's not just me. Or not just in me. I'm not one of those players. There's plenty of those guys here on tour that would make an excuse about being injured and everything. But I'll show up. I'll go out there and I'll give it my all like I always do and try to find something and play well and move on.
Also, let's be honest. Really tough to WD from Bay Hill when Arnie was alive and from the Memorial with Jack still there. I mean, that's a tough tournament to WD from. That is. The guys look at you like, dude, what are you doing? You don't are you hurt? And if the answer isn't yeah, and like, I'm going to miss the U.S. Open in 2 weeks hurt? I mean, what are you doing?
But Billy Horschel, who's ranked 35th in the world, letting it all hang out after shooting 84 in the Memorial yesterday.
Not golf, baseball. Do you know who else was fighting back tears a couple days ago? Noah Syndergaard, 30 years old, and he's down to about 92, 93 miles an hour, and he's throwing batting practice, and he could get released any day now, and he realizes it. It could be over at 30. Miller and Moulton.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you see the story of the naked man jumping on the altar at St. Peter's in the Vatican?
I did not.
To protest the war in the Ukraine? Why does everybody go naked?
Thank you for that. I didn't really like the good, bad, and ugly stories.
I mean, I get it in the 70s. We did the whole streaking thing, but I don't understand it now. Really? You think naked makes an impact when you're standing on the altar at St. Peter's at the Vatican? And by the way, he then wore black socks and sneakers. Really? Black socks? I mean, I don't know. He could be German, but you know. No, he's pretty naked. Now, socks does not prevent you from being naked.
He didn't want to catch a cold. Mom always told him, keep the feet.
Exactly. Taylor Swift has now apparently earned more money than Madonna and Beyonce. She's second in terms of self-made female, whatever, entertainers. But she probably ain't going to catch number one. By the way, number one is Rihanna. Because not only through music, but that whole makeup line that she created, which apparently has made her, she's earned like $1.5 billion. I got to admit, when you make that kind of money, it's why you live on an island and you smoke weed all day.
That's why I don't have the island.
Is that it?
Yeah. I don't have enough money. The other part, they just give it away now. So cheap. They're just handing it out. They basically just give it to you at the dispensaries now.
Oh, wow.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. It's our final segment of the week. Hope you all have a great weekend. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com.
A lot of text today answering the poll question with a little more than just, what their favorite donut is. But I do, a couple of them, we started talking about carrying cash there. This one text says, you guys carry cash. What's that? And then when we brought up the hidden money in the wallet, texter says, I keep money hidden in my wallet. I thought I was the only one. Really? Thought you came up with that one on your own? I'll hide that 50 from my wife. She'll never know it's in there. My father had that 50 hidden in his wallet his whole life. My mother knew it was there the entire time. It was never really hidden. Go hit your dad up. He's got that 50 in his wallet.
It'd be a real shocker if you went into Dad's wallet and stole it from him. Okay? Press for cash. You grab it. You say, I'll replace this. And then he's in a spot in which he needs it and it's not there.
That would have That would have caused problems around the Miller house if I would have done that.
Yeah, back in the day, that leads to a beating.
You're damn right.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start today in 1835. P.T. Barnum and his circus begin their first tour of the United States. 1875, Alexander Graham Bell makes his first sound transmission. 1933, FDR authorizes the first swimming pool to be built inside the White House.
Boy, he didn't waste any time. He just got in there in March. Man.
Now summer's coming. I need to cool off. Babe Ruth announced his retirement today in 1935. Today in 42, Ted Williams enlists in the new U.S. Navy. Whitey Ford ties a record today in 58, striking out 6 in a row. Today in 62, Ray Charles, I Can't Stop Loving You, hits number 1. For David, today in 78, Darkness on the Edge of Town, Bruce's 4th album is released.
That's not bad. That'll play.
It really will.
Yeah, 45 years later, that holds up.
Today in 81, Barbara Walters famously asked Katharine Hepburn, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? Today in 87, the Mariners draft Ken Griffey Jr. first overall.
That seemed to be a wise choice.
It was. And today in 89, Dead Poets Society premieres.
That holds up.
Really does.
By the way, 34 years.
Yeah.
And Matt Damon still looks great, too. I mean, that's enough to honk you off. I mean, he really does.
He's not in that.
Dead Poet Society?
No.
That's not the one with him and...
No.
Oh, I thought it was... I got my Robin
This is
Williams
Carpe
movies.
Diem. Seize the Day. This is the school.
Oh, my bad. I got my Robin Williams movies confused.
Johnny Weissmuller and Charlie Watts of the Rolling Stones were both born today. Larry Robinson from the Habitants is 72. Gary Bettman is 71. Craig Stadler is 70. Wrestler Lex Luger is 65. And Abby Wambach is 43. What did I miss, David?
The Civil War ended today in 1865. Timothy McVeigh convicted today of the Oklahoma City bombings. 70 years ago today, it was the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. That's pretty much it.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Florida for the good, where Chris Sonnaro was a creative director, but he lost his job. So he did something a little different. He went skydiving, and he filmed himself while holding a cardboard sign that said, "Open for work." He posted it on LinkedIn with the caption, "I got laid off last week, so I'll be free-falling until I find a new gig," literally. If you're looking for an award-winning creative that works hard, takes risks, and knows how to pack a parachute, reach out, his post concluded. The post went viral, and an entrepreneur by the name of Jack Pegum saw it. And instead of sending a letter or an email, he went skydiving with a cardboard sign that read, "Hey, Chris, sorry to see you got laid off. We've got work for you." Fast forward 2 weeks later, they released a video showing him signing the contract with the new company after diving out of a plane together. Now, I'm always in fear of being laid off, David, but I don't think I'm jumping out of a plane to try to get my next gig.
No, I could see that's where you draw the line.
For the bad, we go to the Vatican.
What?
Yeah. A man visiting St. Peter's Basilica on Thursday stripped off his clothes and stood naked on the church's main altar in what appeared to be a protest against the war in Ukraine.
Hold on a second. Naked?
Naked
at the altar at the Vatican? This better be, I mean, don't you go straight to hell? I mean, don't they have like an express lane and everything? Don't they have a chute just off to the side there? They just threw this guy in. Boom, that's it. It was over. Holy mackerel.
For the ugly, we bring it back to Southwest Florida, where after deputies received notification of a stolen vehicle, they began pursuing Francisco Lopez, who at one point was going over 100 miles an hour, did a U-turn, tried to take out a police car. Finally, he fled on foot, where he was apprehended after trying to hide in thick brush. Amazingly enough, while searching the vehicle, deputies found both cocaine and meth.
Shocking development. Do we know what road he was going 100 on?
Looks like State Road 80.
Woo. Man.
And that's the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, June the 2nd, 2023.
Naked on the altar of the Vatican. Wow.
That's an all-timer.
It really is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the war in the Ukraine is not a good thing, but, you know, worth protesting about.
But where does the nakedness come in to protest?
Thank you. This isn't the 70s also. We're not streaking anymore. Morgana, the kissing bandit, is not running out onto the field and kissing baseball players and what have you. I mean, you know, we've moved on.
It is amazing that streaking was a thing.
Oh, was it ever in the 70s? We were doing a lot of drugs.
We're still doing a lot of drugs, David. We're not streaking anymore.
But man, oh man. I mean, you look at our music tastes with disco and the streaking, and, you know, we're encouraging people to buy pet rocks. Guy made millions off of pet rocks. Think about how much drugs you have to be doing to go, you know, I think I'm going to buy a rock. Really? What for? It's a pet.
Think about the guy who green-lighted the pet rock. I mean,
Right.
some marketing guy had to bring that up to him and said, I've got an idea. What do you, and we're going to sell these. That's a rock. Yeah, I know. We're going to sell them. Wait for it. As pets.
That'd be a hell of a meeting. I don't do drugs, and I might do drugs after that marketing meeting. How'd your day go? Some guy, wants us to market pet rocks. I think I'm going to quit. Listen, big weekend for the Marlins because the A's are in town. Don't you have to sweep this series?
And you have to draw more than they would have.
Well, right now, 30,000 over under for the 3 games.
Oh, God, that's the exact number I was thinking.
Now, the A's
I'm going to go over, but it's not going to be by much.
What if I went 33,000?
Under.
The A's are 12-46 for the record. They're playing a little over 200 baseball. I know they just took 2 or 3 from the Braves, but still, if you're the Marlins, you're a game over 500. There's a chance, you put 3 W's in the column here, baby. Start next week, 4 games over 500. Rays, by the way, in Boston, take on the Red Sox, who anxiously await the MRI about Chris Sale and his sore pitching shoulder. That is not good.
And Yankees and Dodgers go at it for 3 in LA.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Kershaw pitching for the Dodgers tonight against Severino, who's only thrown about 11 innings so far this year. So I have to admit, that'll get my attention a little bit. Little Yankees-Dodgers this weekend. That's fun. For those of us of a certain age, you think about, meeting in the World Series and that sort of thing. What Major League Baseball wouldn't do to have a Yankees-Dodgers World Series again.
And the good news is 2 of those games are going to start at 7 o'clock. Tonight's a 10 o'clock start, but the next 2, I'm guessing, are nationally televised. Sunday Night Baseball would be one, I would think.
Well, let's check. You're not going to believe it. No, yeah, you're right. Yep. So Fox on Saturday and Sunday Night Baseball. So hockey tomorrow night, TNT, 8 o'clock. NBA Finals Sunday night, ABC. I think it's 8:30.
It is. It is.
Actually, it's listed at 8 on Sunday, which at least that's what I got in front of me here. That the weekday games are at 8:30 and the
you're right. 8 o'clock. Good for
Sunday
that.
games at 8. Although I'll tell you what, the way last night, that game took like 2 hours, 13 minutes. It's like the fastest NBA game of the year. Then again, the Heat only shot 2 free throws. The game never stopped.
No, it did not.
It's like the Army Navy of basketball games.
Over under Jimmy Butler free throws, 8.5 on Sunday.
Over.
Over.
He's going to be like a bull in a china shop. He's just going to be running into Nuggets, looking at the officials like, you're going to call fouls, right? We do want to emphasize, it's not on the officials that the Heat only shot 2 free throws.
Not at all.
Not at all. That was on the Heat.
Orlando Alzugaray reiterated that. We had him on. Yep. He's a big Heat guy. Keith Smith said the same thing. ESPN last night after the game said the same thing. So it was not a question of bad officiating. It was a problem of Miami not driving the ball to the rim. Miami's got to play a more physical game. They got to play a little dirtier.
Golf, the Memorial, right on through the weekend. It's Jack's tournament, 2 weeks before the U.S. Open. French Open continues. If anybody even pays attention to tennis anymore. Djokovic with a win in this thing passes Nadal. He gets to 23, which also ties him with Serena and, Margaret Court Smith with 24 is the all-time. But just saying. It's week 1, though, of the French.
All right. When we come back on Monday, what is the series at between the Nuggets and the Heat?
1-1.
2-0 Nuggets. You think the Heat get game 2?
Yes.
When we come back on Monday, do the Panthers win game 1 on the road?
No. The layoff really concerns me. How in the world can Bobrovsky pick up where he left off? And so I think early in the series, the goaltending matchup will be closer to even. As the series goes on, you would like to think a 2-time Vezina Trophy winner will clearly be the better goalie in the series than a guy who started the year deep in the minors.
So
this would be, by the way, the all-time story of stories, right? If this Aiden Hill guy, have we ever had a goalie who was like 4th or 5th on the depth chart when a season started? Hoist Lord Stanley? Miller and Moulton. Mark, have a great weekend.
You do
Felipe,
the same,
you
David.
too. And everybody listening, have a great weekend.
Clank.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.